Hello, 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 hello. I need to smoke some weed. Who else needs to smoke some weed? I need to smoke some weed. Please join me smoking weed. Oh, wait, is that an act of sedition? Huh? Smoking weed? Encouraging you to smoke weed? Is that an act of sedition? An act of rebellion to authority? Is it? Is it? It's what I do best, so you know, is encourage others to rebel against authority. Every time you hear me say, stop telling me what to do, every time you hear me say that, I am encouraging you to say that. Every time. Not about me. I told you over and over again, not about me. Every time I say, stop telling me what to do, that's so it echoes in your brain. Not mine. It's already in there. I'm gonna smoke some marijuana now. A clear act of sedition, especially since I'm encouraging all of you to follow me and do exactly as you see. Don't you know? In case anybody's wondering, I'm gonna smoke some marijuana now. Let's see. It's not called peer pressure. I don't give a fuck. I could care less. It's called act of sedition. It's called making you question authority. It's making you rebel against authority. Making you speak truth to power. It's what this channel is all about. And you know what? I am so disgusted by the people throwing this word sedition around, right? These people saying it's a clear act of sedition, right? Understand, those people are the enemy, okay? Because this country would not exist without a clear act of willful sedition. So don't you fucking ever forget it. Chuck Schumer, piece of shit. This country, let me say it again, just so we're clear, this country would not exist were it not for a clear act of willful sedition. So fuck Chuck Schumer, fuck Nancy Pelosi, fuck Jake Tapper, and fuck everybody else who wants to talk about sedition. Every single fucking day, I commit acts of sedition proudly. I couldn't be more proud of anything in my life than how many acts of sedition I have clearly committed over the last 20 years. So you know, Chuck Schumer, you fucking piece of shit. And I agree with fucking Alex Jones 100%. Maybe for the first time. Donald Trump is clearly garbage. Those are Alex Jones' words, okay? Donald Trump has fucking no balls whatsoever. He wants to act like he's got the biggest balls in the fucking world. He just fucking crumbles the minute everybody starts questioning him. He's like, oh, maybe I had some responsibility. Fuck you. Stand up, be a man. Yes, I had responsibility, and I'm proud of it. I encourage those people to take their government back. That's what America is all about. Donald Trump is a fucking pussy, a dickless wonder, no doubt. According to Alex Jones, and I'm just reiterating that. Alex Jones, who's been a big, big, big Donald Trump supporter. Me, who has never been the slightest little Donald Trump supporter. Says, he is a nutless wonder. Stand up and be a fucking man, Trump. Stop hiding in your little hidey hole. Fucking come out and speak. Speak to the damn person. You want to know what Donald Trump should do? He should immediately blanket pardon anyone that was responsible, anyone that was involved with the occupation of the U.S. Capitol buildings, the House of Representatives, the People's House, the Senate. Donald Trump should immediately blanket fucking pardon all those people. You want to piss off the media more than ever before? You want to piss off the entire mainstream more than ever before? You think you got them pissed off now? You fucking pardon all those people involved with that act. And you do it now, you fucking dickless wonder piece of shit. Before it's too late. Because next week, tomorrow, it may be too late. Do it now. Act like a fucking man for a change. Or quit acting like one and actually be one for a fucking change. Another willful act of sedition published on the internet for everyone to see, to encourage everyone to rebel against authority now and always. Ha! You don't like it? You don't like rebels? Again, this country would not exist were it not for clear acts of sedition. Okay? Anybody throwing around that word as if it's a bad thing, as if sedition, as if rebelling against authority is a bad thing, those people are the true enemy. They are the enemy of all freedom everywhere on the planet. And we should recognize that enemy and come together so we can defeat it. Defeat it with extreme prejudice. Once and forever. You know, make examples out of these people so that those who come after them understand I don't want what happened to them to happen to me. So I'm going to be a good public servant and actually do my best to serve the public. Unlike the pieces of shit we have in Congress now, who want to call protesters Americans who take back the house, the people's house, we the people who take back the people's house, they want to call them terrorists. Okay? I've had quite enough. You know, I mean, literally, Jake Tapper, if you see me, you need to walk the other way. Because otherwise, you better have a real good security team. I'm not fooling. This is not a game. You guys know I've been screaming about this same shit for 20 years on YouTube. Doesn't matter which fucking dickless wonder we have for president now. It's the same bullshit. Doesn't matter. Republicans in Congress, Democrats in Congress. I've been telling you there's no difference. And here's where you see that there's no difference. Liz Cheney, one of the top members of Congress, says that Donald Trump, blah, 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 willful act of sedition, da, 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 da. Fuck Liz Cheney. What she said was, she said it's the most egregious, let's see, what the fuck did Liz Cheney say? The most egregious act god damn. What the fuck she say? I can't find it. Anyway, she said the worst thing any president's ever done in the history of America. Well, you know what? Your father and George W. Bush killed 1 million innocent Iraqis. 1 million innocent Iraqis based on lies that they fabricated so that they could go and make money off of killing little children. In the good name of Americans, Liz Cheney, in the good name of America, with Americans' tax dollars. Okay? Fuck you, Liz Cheney. And I'm so tired of these people acting like the only reason that anybody would ever attack the House of Representatives, would ever occupy, would ever, come after the House of Representatives, the only reason ever is because of Donald Trump, not because we misrepresented you for the last 20, 30 years. not because we helped people lie you into wars where your good name was soiled to the tune of 1 million innocent Iraqis murdered in your name. And Liz Cheney thinks Donald Trump is the fucking worst ever? Fuck that piece of shit. Fuck Liz Cheney. Fuck Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer wants people who protested at the U.S. Capitol to be put on a no-fly list. What we do to terrorists. He wants them put on a no-fly list. He wants them put on a no-fly list right now. No trial, no nothing. This is who you are. This is who America is. This is who the people representing good Americans are in the name of freedom. I'm tired of it. I've had quite a fuck enough. Okay? Fuck Dick Cheney, fuck Liz Cheney, fuck Chuck Schumer, fuck Mitch McConnell, fuck all those pieces of shit. Oh, am I committing another act of sedition? Oh my gosh. How soon before they take me off of fucking YouTube? Again. Strike me down, bitches. So you comes back stronger every time. Fuck. These people are garbage. The censors are garbage. The people that are calling Americans domestic terrorists are garbage. They are the only true and real threat to your personal freedom. I'm talking about the members of the House of Representatives. I'm talking about the members of the media calling Americans protesting, calling Americans taking back the people's house and occupying it, calling them domestic terrorists, demanding that they get put on no-fly list, watch list for fucking domestic terrorism. You can't even walk in this building without being arrested. Okay, that's the real enemy. The people who somehow want to act like we want to blow up everything and make everything terrorism, right? Oh, you walked your dog without a leash, you're a fucking terrorist. Oh, you're not wearing a mask, you're a fucking terrorist. They want to make everything that you do fucking terrorism. They want desperately to label you as an evil person. How many people do they label evil? Any way they can. Pro-Trump supporters stormed the U.S. Capitol. Yeah, there was some Trump supporters there, there's no doubt. I bet you there were some Democrats there too. I know there was some motherfucking Seattle police officers there. I know that there was National Guard people fucking taking, they talk about, oh, we got to investigate all these Capitol Hill police. Oh, you guys see the fucking phone number, right? They say, we got to investigate these Capitol Hill police. They say, oh, these National Guard people, they took selfies with the protesters, and I've been thinking about this. I keep thinking about it. And you know why they could be in that frame of mind when they're under attack by terrorists? You know how they could be in that frame of mind to take selfies with them or to fucking help them get in the building or whatever? How they could do that with domestic terrorists? How could they be in that frame of mind? Because they knew the shit was coming. And they're like, man, I hope they do take back the Capitol. I'm going to be like, yeah, let's take some selfies. Because it's fucking awesome. And it should be what America is all about. Police officers, Seattle police officers. I'm sure there was lots of other police officers there. National Guard taking selfies with protesters. Police, DC police, helping them. The Capitol Hill cops are being investigated as if they were like comrades to the domestic terrorist, right? They helped the domestic terrorist without these, it's disgusting. And then all the while they're doing this, while they're calling good people domestic terrorists and blah, 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 they're like acting like there couldn't possibly be the slightest bit of responsibility for the people wanting to attack the House of Representatives. The representatives that are in there, they couldn't possibly have any responsibility. Right? Do you really believe that the president, Barack Obama was much more loved than Donald Trump. You think if Barack Obama said, go attack the fucking Capitol building? No. The reason people go and do that is because they've had enough of bullshit representation by professional politicians who live high on the fucking hog and then don't represent a single working class person in this country. Okay? It's a load of bullshit. And the people deserve better. And the people have had enough. And, when you hear this word, sedition, you're going to hear this word thrown around a lot now. I love the word sedition. I willfully, that means I do it, I strive to do it. I commit willful acts of sedition on a daily basis here on YouTube for the last 15 years and very publicly for a long time before that. You can count on it. It's one of the things I'm most proud of. Committing willful acts of sedition against pieces of shit like Chuck Schumer and Liz Cheney. Those people should be brought down a notch, at the very least. They belong in prison, at the very least. Oh yeah, Donald Trump is the worst ever in the history of Fuck you, Liz Cheney. We all know what your dad did when your dad was in the White House. You are a piece of garbage, war profiteer, and you need to go to prison in order to make the world a safer place for innocent little children sleeping in their bed who you don't mind making a shiny penny off of fucking murdering in their fucking sleep. Fucking garbage. Oh, Donald Trump's the worst ever. Fuck you, Liz Cheney. Fuck you, Chuck Schumer. Act of sedition, I am more than happy to. And I want to encourage everyone, to encourage all Americans to commit acts of sedition. I want you to remind all Americans that if were it not for acts of sedition, this country would not exist. Okay? It was the proud, bold people who stood up and said, enough. The brave, the soon-to-be Americans who said, enough of this bullshit authority that you try and exercise over my freedom. Fuck you. And that's how this country was born. Don't forget it for 1 second, and you remind every single person you can. That's the fucking truth. Maybe it's time for another bong hit. Nobody's gonna call me. You can see the fucking telephone number, right? Craig, the phone is fucking working, right? Craig says the fucking phone is working. What, are you afraid of me? You afraid I might be a domestic terrorist because I'm encouraging you to commit acts of sedition against the powers of authority? Yes, rebel against authority. Again, every single fucking time you've ever heard me say, stop telling me what to do. It is an act of sedition that I am purposefully doing, planting into your brain to get you, when some dickhole is acting like they're the boss of you, to look them in the fucking eyes and say, stop telling me what to do. To rebel against authority again and again and again, even if it's only on the inside, so that you don't die completely. Because that's what these fucking pieces of shit who use the word sedition want. They want sheep and zombies. That when they tell you what to do, you do it. You don't question. You don't rebel against what they're telling you to do. How many times do I have to tell you people, these curfews are in place for your protection? And anyone caught out after curfew will be shot. Don't forget it. That's the motherfucking country we live in. And if that's what you want, well then you go ahead and be a sheep. And you don't rebel against authority. Okay? But if you want something better, that's what it's gonna take. Gonna take you being a rebel and standing up and saying enough. That's what Donald Trump said the other day, and somehow he's a fucking evildoer. He's a domestic terrorist. He's committing acts of sedition. That's what this country's all about. How the hell do you think marijuana got legal in this country? In Washington state, in Colorado, in state after state after state. How do you, in Las Vegas, Sin City, they have prostitution there, but not legal marijuana. They'd throw you in jail for a year for a fucking joint. Why? Because it's a fucking police state. And how do you think we fucking fix that? By rebelling against it. By speaking truth to bullshit. Okay? Fuck the powers that be. Fuck them straight to hell. And I'm talking about all you people at the top of YouTube, top of Facebook. You think somehow, oh, I'm going to go God mode and fucking censor Donald Trump. What the fuck is wrong with you? Good job, Twitter. What, you lost 25% in the value of your stock in the last 3 days? Good fucking plan, man. I hope it goes to nothing. I mean, everybody should quit fucking Facebook. Everyone should just quit. You know, oh, but my whole life is up there on Facebook. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Up there for authoritarian figures to manipulate and figure out how they can fuck with you. Your whole life right there for them to fuck with you. Yeah, everyone should quit Facebook. Immediately. Again, an act of sedition. Speaking, telling you about authority and to rebel against it. Fuck the powers that be. You people are fucking, I don't even know you, and I know that you're better people than them. Than Chuck fucking piece of shit Schumer. I know. I don't even have to think about it for a half a second. You could have a gun in your hand committing a robbery right now, and I know you're a better person than Chuck Schumer. Because you're just fucking one person. Chuck Schumer wants to fuck every single working class person in this country. That's the facts. That's what he's trying to do. Oh, we gotta get our fucking George W. Bush 9/11 fucking list going again. Oh, you're on this list, you're on that list. You're on the sedition list. You better know it, Moxie. You better bet on it. You're on the motherfucking sedition list. Goddamn right. Proud of it. I'm gonna smoke some more weed. Fine, don't fucking call. I'll just sit here and smoke weed all night. I'm good with that. I don't have a problem with that. I'm very good at that, actually. Although I can't smoke it all night. I'm really not that good. It's like, it's just too strong to smoke all night so much. So, but I can smoke, and I will, because it's another act of sedition. It's another act of telling you, again, fuck the powers that be. This is what freedom looks like. This is what our lives are supposed to be about. We were granted the freedom. The cannabis plant grows in any environment everywhere. It's supposed to be an amazing resource that any of us can easily access anytime. And these fucking pieces of shit in authority that want to tell us how we're supposed to live our lives took it away from us, took this amazing resource away from us. Said, no, you're not, you can't use this, you can't have this thing that can help everyone, boom, in your hands. Like God put it there for you. And then these pieces of shit in Congress took it away. Hello, caller.
Hey, Mike, how are you doing tonight?
I am pumped up. How are you doing?
No shit, man. I'm good. I'm doing good. I'm calling. Well, yeah, I'm calling to agree with you. Uh, we're all being gaslit, is what's going on. We're being lied to and manipulated by these people. And I have a request. I have a request. If Pete is listening, I would like to hear Pete sing the song "You Don't Own Me" by Leslie Gore.
Ah, nice one.
And I'm going to make my effort right now. It goes kind of like this. It goes like this. It goes, "You don't own me. I'm not just one of your many toys. And you don't own me. Don't say I can't go out with other boys. Don't tell me what to do. And don't tell me what to say. And please, when I go out with you, don't put me on display, 'cause you don't own me." Remember that one?
That's a good one, man. I love it.
Yeah, and I'd love to hear Pete sing it. So, Pete, if you're listening, you can get the lyrics on Google, and I'd love to hear your voice sing that song. There was a great interview that I saw today, Mike, and it was with Graham Elwood. And he's a podcaster from Southern California. He's a friend of Jimmy Dore's and Lee Camp's. And he interviewed Whitney Webb today for about an hour and a half or two. And I know Mike from Southern California has mentioned Whitney Webb before. She's written at different venues like The Last Vagabond and Mint Press News. She's an independent journalist who lives in South America because she doesn't live in this fascist country anymore. And she goes into detail about how, like, the FBI and the CIA, these institutions have a long history of infiltrating political groups, just like I said yesterday. And she provides all of the evidence and details for, like, kind of my generic rant that I had yesterday. So you can find that by just typing into YouTube "Live with Whitney Webb 1/12/21", Graham Elwood's channel. I want to share that with the other people, so after the program they may want to listen to that video.
Right on. Awesome.
Yeah, and I also wanted to share a little bit from an article that was written today by Glenn Greenwald, and I haven't really had a chance to read the whole thing. But Glenn Greenwald is the title of the article. It's from his own. He writes and posts at Substack because he had to leave The Intercept, which is a magazine, a news magazine that he created himself with two other people, and basically because he didn't toe the line, and he had to leave. He had to leave a magazine that he created as it was taken over by more, so to say, submissive authoritarian voices that bow down to power. So he had to leave. He writes at Substack now, Glenn Greenwald. He also is occasionally a guest on Tucker Carlson's show. But his article today is called "How Silicon Valley in a Show of Monopolistic Force Destroyed Parler."
Hey, wait a minute, Chris. Wait a minute. I need you to reread the title. You kind of digitized there for a second, but
Yeah,
also,
it's raining cats and ducks. I'll reread it, Mike.
but also, I want to know what it is that you think about him going on Tucker Carlson. Like, do you think that that's telling about? I mean, what? Because I think it says a lot about the mainstream media that they won't, or that the so-called left won't have, Glenn Greenwald on their programs because, he's an amazing journalist. I really enjoy Glenn's work and have always been very glad that he was there. But I mean,
I had a chance.
do you think that there's something to be said? I mean, I'm just wondering what you think about the fact that that's like the only place that we get to see Glenn anymore on the TV.
Well, first, Mike, I actually got a chance to see Glenn speak in person in 2010 here in Olympia at the community college. I saw him speak for an hour, and there were only like 30 people in the audience. So it was a really small crowd. And after, I asked him a couple questions and Q&A, and then a few questions afterwards. And he was kind of, I said, "Do you think we live in an inverted totalitarian society where where it seems like we have rights, but we really don't have rights? Where the government says we have rights, but in reality we live in a kind of authoritarian government?" And this was before he got the Edward Snowden stuff, right?
Yeah.
And he said, I don't think so. He goes, I would have to have a lot more evidence before I ever said we lived in an authoritarian state. And I just looked at him and I'm like, really? Like, you need more evidence? Like I go, you don't think like at the time, like there were demonstrations at the Republican National Convention and the city of Denver, I think it was, made free speech zones.
Yeah.
Where they said if you want to protest the convention, you got to stand in
It was after 9. This was right after 9/11. They did this too. They made they made free speech zones for the 2004 National Convention for both the Republicans and the Democratic National Conventions. They had a place where protesters could go and protest. It was like a fucking cyclone fence, chain link fence kind of thing. Like a
away from the main event,
a caged in kind of like tennis court kind of thing, and you could go in there and you could have your little protest, and if you did it anywhere else, you would be arrested. You will be shot. Go ahead.
Exactly, and I said, and he said, could you give me some examples of what what? And I said, well, the free speech zones is one. I mean, what does the First Amendment really mean if when you go someplace you're told where to stand and you're told when you can speak, and if you go to a demonstration you're told when you have to go home? I go, that isn't in the spirit of the First Amendment. I mean, it doesn't seem like it's real. He goes, well, those are good examples, but I would need many more examples before I thought that, we lived in an inverted totalitarian society. That's what Glenn Greenwald said. Well, I just laughed my ass off.
Yeah.
And, he was doing the Edward Snowden thing like 9 months after he talked to me, and found out that he does live in an authoritarian state. It made me feel good, right?
So authoritarian that he's not even allowed to travel anywhere in the world anymore. Go ahead.
Yeah, he has to. He set up shop in Brazil, and one of the concerns he had when he left the Intercept is the Intercept is owned by a billionaire, Pierre Omidyar, and Pierre Omidyar was also providing security for Glenn Greenwald in Brazil. So he paid for his personal security guards and his transport around the city and the protection of his compound in Brazil, because Brazil has a fascist leader right now who has killed political opponents, including friends of Glenn Greenwald and his partner. They had a good friend who was a city council member in Rio de Janeiro who was murdered, who was a socialist. And she was murdered, and it looks a lot like the president of the country had direct implications in her murder. And that's when, so he has reasons to be concerned. So his business, the Intercept, the owner of his business was protecting him. So when he left the Intercept, he also left his security behind because they paid him a decent salary and provided him with perks. So he put himself in a more precarious situation. But when I think about Glenn and Tucker Carlson, is I think it benefits Fox News a little bit, because you can't really point. They can say, well, look, we let Glenn Greenwald on Tucker Carlson's show, so we are kind of open-minded. So
who else does that? Yeah.
Them.
Who else does that?
It benefits them a little bit, right? And it definitely benefits Glenn Greenwald because, like Noam Chomsky, and like Ralph Nader, and like other prominent dissidents in the United States, they do not receive any airtime on the media. They just don't. Ron Paul is a good example. I mean, there's other people, right, on the left, but mostly on the left, but on the right as well. They will not get a voice because the mainstream media, public broadcasting, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, all those mainstream institutions, they do not want their audience to receive a counter narrative at all. It's got to be within the parameters of acceptable speech. So that's why he's not on. That's why those other people aren't on. And I'm not even going to look at the chat tonight because I don't want to hear the word Jew tonight. I'm fucking tired of that. But those people are also.
You never really hear that word from my mouth at all. So
I know I don't. But I just don't even want to see it tonight. So I'm not going to even look at it. But those people are dissidents, and they don't. And Glenn is one too. And Glenn is Glenn doesn't get a voice. And also he's also Jewish too, right? So this is ridiculous. People who say this, that like if a person is Jewish, they're not on your side. That's just retarded thinking.
I just don't even want to know what your religion is. If at all possible, I would really prefer it that way, you know.
Yeah.
And
Well, if their name rhymes with something or something, and they're from some city, well, then they've got to be evil or part of a nefarious. That's dumb. So, but about Glenn, so that's what I think about Glenn Tucker Carlson, right? And he wrote this article
well,
today
but I
about
mean,
Harlem.
but I mean, is it? My real question is, isn't there something very telling there besides the fact that they both fucking receive some kind of a bonus for being on each other, having each other on the show and stuff? Isn't there something very telling about the state of American media? That this is, that Tucker Carlson, I mean, he's I don't know. I know that none of the other journalists, the so-called journalists on television, seem to
Yeah,
have much respect for him. But I mean, that's not the
I
point.
don't know why. I
But
don't
don't you
know
think
why
it's
Mike
very
Tucker.
but don't you think there's something very telling about the fact that that's the only show that a journalist the quality of Glenn Greenwald can get on?
I think it's really sad because, I mean, I know a lot of people on the left are kind of like the liberals are kind of brainwashed. They don't want to think outside the box. So therefore, I think if Greenwald was on some of those other networks, people would look at it and think like, "Wow, that makes sense." It would make them question their own premises. And that usually leads to cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance, of course, is when you hold two different points of view at the same time in your mind, and it causes you stress. So like you believe something, and then you hear information that counters your belief, and your brain just starts scrambling. It doesn't know how to respond to the information. But that's why I don't think they let him on. They don't want people to. I don't know. They don't want people to think of obviously,
They
but
don't let him
I
on
don't.
because he's on a fucking blacklist that says you fucking speak out, you speak too much truth. That's why they don't let
He's
him
a,
on.
it's funny too because he is a gay man, right?
Uh huh.
He's overtly gay, and they're all into identity politics.
Yeah, it totally fits
So like,
their news
and he's
model kind
married
of
to a
game.
he's married to a socialist, which that might actually hurt him because
Yeah.
that might be something that hurts him. And then he himself is a civil libertarian, and like civil libertarians, they don't really get a lot of places
No.
either. Like they don't get voices
That's
because
why
people
Ron
don't.
Paul doesn't get a voice.
Yeah, and also Ron Paul is opposed to war, and a lot of the sponsors for the big networks are military contractors.
For
That's
sure.
another reason why they don't like Ron Paul at all.
And he's about
So
freedom. He's about freedom at every level. He's always talking about freedom of speech. He's always like, end the drug war.
yeah, I don't agree with Ron about things like abortion and maybe about taxes or what the function of government is. A couple things important, but I do listen to him. I go out of my way, okay, to listen. I listened to Ron Paul's broadcast last week after this incident happened, and I listened to him respectfully, and I look for him to listen to him, even though I don't agree with him on everything, right?
Mm.
And that's what I think a conscientious news observer or a conscientious person who is reading is supposed to do. You look at different points of view, and then you find out who is telling the truth. And in this, in many cases, Ron does tell the truth. I believe that, yes. So this is a quote from Greenwald's article today, and I'll try to be concise and, whatever, so people can understand. It goes like this. With virtual unanimity, leading American liberals celebrated the use of Silicon Valley's monopoly power to shut down Parler, just as they overwhelmingly cheered the prior to extraordinary assertions of tech power to control political discourse in America. The censorship of the New York Post reporting on the contents of Hunter Biden's laptop, and the banning of American president from major platforms. Indeed, one would be hard-pressed to find a single national liberal left politician even expressing concern about any of this, let alone opposing it. Not only did left-wing politicians not object, but some of them were the ones who pleaded with Silicon Valley to use their power this way. After the internet policing site Sleeping Giants flagged several Parler posts that called for violence. Representative AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, said, quote, "What are at Apple, at Google Play doing about this?" Once Apple responded by removing Parler from the App Store, a move House Democrats just 3 months ago warned was dangerous antitrust behavior, AOC praised Apple and then demanded to know, quote, "Good to see this development from Apple and Google Play. What are you going to do about the apps being used to organize violence on your platform?" The liberal New York Times columnist Michelle Goldberg, disturbed by just how awesome tech giants' power, said, quote, she is disturbed by how awesome the giants' power is, the tech companies, and added, quote, "It's dangerous to have a handful of callow young tech titans in charge of who has a megaphone and who does not." She nevertheless praised these young tech titans for using their dangerous power to ban Trump and destroy Parler. In other words, liberals like Goldberg are concerned only that Silicon Valley's censorship powers might one day be used against people like them, but they're perfectly happy as long as it is their adversaries being deplatformed and silenced. Facebook and other platforms,
which is as anti-American as it gets from our representatives. Yeah. So we're clear. Go ahead.
Exactly. And Facebook and other platforms for years have banned marginalized people like Palestinians protesting Israel. But that is of no concern to American liberals. That is because the dominant strain of American liberalism is not economic socialism, but political authoritarianism. Liberals now want to use the force of corporate power to silence those with different ideologies. They are eager for tech monopolies not just to ban accounts they dislike, but to remove entire platforms from the internet. They want to imprison people they believe helped their party lose elections, like Julian Assange, even if it means creating precedents to criminalize journalism. And it's a longer article, and I really hope some of the readers who like Glenn Greenwald and appreciate civil liberties would read this article called "How Silicon Valley, in a Show of Monopolistic Force, Destroyed Parler." And the subset is, in the last 3 months, tech giants have censored political speech and journalism to manipulate U.S. politics, while liberals with virtual unanimity have cheered. So that's Glenn Greenwald, and I agree with them wholeheartedly, Mike. Like, they're just like saying, you can speak, you can't speak. I'm going to say who can speak and who can't speak. And if you don't believe me, well, then you're dumb. Not only are you dumb, but, like, you're a bad person. I mean, that's the kind of mentality that's going on here.
Yeah, it's not that you can't speak and you can speak. It's I'm going to tell you which speech is acceptable. You know, this speech is okay. No, you're not allowed to say that. And if you say it again, I might kick you off our platform. So make clear you are not allowed to say that. Okay? I'm the boss of you. Don't do it. Don't make me prove it. Don't make me go God mode on your ass.
And they will. They'll go full fucking God mode on your ass. Like in a heartbeat, they will. And they're demonstrating it right now. They will fuck over people, you know, as quickly as they can, if it serves their political interest, you know. And that's not what the First Amendment should be broader than it's just speech for some people. First Amendment is speech for all people, and you can't have a democracy without free speech. And there's another consequence of this backlash.
Well, you can't have freedom without free speech. So we're clear. This is the end of individuality. It's basic hive think. This is it right here. You end free speech. You start censoring people as if somehow it's the right thing to do for all of us, and that's it, man. It's hive think from that point forward.
Yeah, there's another article I would encourage people to look at. This is from the Diggers blogspot, newlevelers.blogspot.com, and it's a repost of an article called "Without Freedom of Speech, What's Going to Happen to America?" And it just kind of talks about what you just said about freedom and about what the future of America is in a world where we don't have the ability to speak. We're just going to be silenced, and we are being silenced right now. It's pretty obvious.
And
like
anyone who's speaking out is committing an act of sedition. Don't forget it.
Yeah, they can definitely censor people, and in the future make up a gigantic list of people they're going to throw in jail. Hey, but if it's any consolation, Mike, I wouldn't mind spending time in a jail cell with you and some of the folks in chat. And if that's where I end up going, that's where I end up going. And that's just the way it is.
Well, but that's the way. But that's the way that it's. But that's the way that it is for a long, long time. It's not something new. I mean, the file on myself goes back a long, long ways. You know, I mean,
yeah,
this isn't something.
I have one of those. I have one of those files.
Yeah.
And I will say this. You know, I live in abject poverty, and one of the reasons I live in abject poverty isn't because I don't try hard. You're not a man. You can't do these things. No, that isn't why. One of the reasons I live in abject poverty is because I've always spoke my mind. And when you're working at a job, employers don't want employees to speak their mind. They want them to be submissive. That's what capitalism is about.
Lick the
in
boot.
a capitalist society, if you actually say, hey, maybe we could do that, or did you ever think this would be this way? Would this be more efficient, right? They look at you like, I don't like that attitude. Jack, HR guy, get rid of that fucker. That's how it works in America.
I looked a boss in the eye and I said, just because you signed my paycheck does not give you the right to yell at me. And she immediately broke down into tears and ran out of the building.
Yeah, they can't. I had a bad incident a couple of days ago with my housemates. It wasn't bad, but it was just not comfortable. Like where I was berated for like 3 hours, like 2 other people triangulating against me, like 3 people in a conversation.
Yeah.
Where 2 people gang up on somebody.
Yeah.
The other person can never defend themselves. And they just were calling me names, and then I did some reading about gaslighting, and what that is, and it's just like and why do people do it? A lot of times, why people do it, Mike, is because they're jealous of you for something. There's something that you have, like your boss freaking out at you and leaving in that manner. Mm-hmm. It's because you have something inside of you, a spark, so to speak, that they can never have. They don't have, say, your intelligence or your convictions. Mm-hmm. So when they see you speak with conviction and with points that you're making, they immediately want to destroy you because they can't accept it. They just can't accept it.
They see you as a threat because you're able to be relaxed. They can't ever do that because you're able to actually outthink them. That's a huge threat to them, and you do it in a relaxed fashion. It's there's a whole lot of things there. And people are just in general dissatisfied with life. So they're kind of looking for a bullseye all the time, basically a whipping post, to just blow off some steam.
I know, and I can accept that, like, to a degree. I get it, like, to a little bit, and that's fine. But when it becomes really vicious and it's actually false, like saying that they were trying to get me to apologize to somebody. They said, you need to apologize.
Why, didn't you put the seat down or something?
And I said, no, it was just, I said, what did I do?
You didn't put the seat down, did you, fucker? You're one of those kind of people.
Yeah. Well, no, it was like we were talking about, like, maybe starting a business or something together, right? And then this is like an hour conversation, and then one of the people was talking about, like, their goals in life, and I thought that's kind of important because if you get in a relationship with somebody like that, a business relationship, you kind of want to know, like, where are you coming from, right? Like, what's your goal in life, right? And the kid had like 3 different goals, and they were all conflicting. And they didn't make any sense. Like, I want to go back to school. I want to make money, but I want to do this. And I'm like, wow, he's all wishy-washy, right? So I asked him a couple of pointed questions, like, well, what do you mean by that? And is that mutually exclusive? And maybe you could do both of these things. Or what do you think about that? And I wasn't being mean at all. He totally freaked out at me. He was like, how dare you?
I haven't,
Blah, blah, blah.
I haven't thought out any of these things, and you want to question me on them? Fuck you!
And he said, you do this to me. He goes, you do this to me every time you talk to me. You're mean to me. I've never been mean to anybody in my life. And this other cat, who's my friend, who likes to tease me all the time, just jumped right on it. And the two of them were just like, bam, fuck Chris, fuck Chris, fuck Chris, fuck Chris. And I was just like, wow, it's so overwhelming. And so, but that kind of situation happens a lot in my life. And I suspect it might have happened with you and maybe some folks in chat as well. And the reason why is, there's this thing where you're supposed to just shut the fuck up, right? You're supposed to not say what you think. You're supposed to the Leslie.
That's what happened to me when I started going to school. And I mean, right from the beginning, like at kindergarten, from kindergarten, like day one of kindergarten, I got sent home with a note that said, does not play well with others, and you have to have a meeting with the principal before this child will be allowed back in school, and it was, you have to get him under control or he's going to have to go to a special school. That's how it was for me from day fucking one in this society, dude.
Yeah, there's a lot of great books about deschooling. Ivan Illich, Deschooling America is one of them. Summerhill is another good one about a school where there's no rules. There's all kinds of alternative education, alternatives available to some people, but usually only rich people have access to those services. Anyway, yeah, education in this country, I know it's gotten worse than from the 70s and the 80s. I know it's gotten worse.
Yeah.
Where, and I don't even, like I said, I don't have kids. I don't want kids. It's not on my list of shit to do in life. But I have a lot of sympathy for parents and kids right now. And whenever I meet somebody who has a kid, I always ask them how their kids are and ask them how they're coping with the fact that they don't get to hang out with other kids. Because I think that's cruel. I just really think that's cruel. Like you can't hang out with other kids. Whether you like school or you don't like school. I mean, I understand it's authoritarian or whatnot, but there's also socialization that goes on there. And I feel sorry for those little fuckers. I do. I really do.
I feel sorry for everybody, dude. I'm a very empathetic person.
Mm-hmm.
You hear me again and again make excuses for why people are the way they are. It's except for the people at the top. I don't want to make excuses for them because a buck has to stop somewhere.
But we're gonna die in 25 or 30 years.
Yeah, I'm not gonna make it that far.
These little fuckers are gonna be around for 80 years or something, right? So
Good luck
this
with that.
event, this plague thing is what I'm saying, is going to be around. It's screwed with their consciousness is what I'm saying, and it's not going to just disappear.
It's not just the plague thing, I have for a long time, for 20 years now, basically wondered what it must be like for kids growing up in the shadow of the Twin Towers coming down, because in the information age, in the land of the internet, when you get a laptop in the second grade in this country, and there's all this fucking information about 9/11 being the greatest crime ever committed, and what does that do to you to think how to right off the start from the beginning again, like with me. The powers that be are full of shit and lying and fucking with us, and there's obviously, something's not right here.
It's a lot easier to manipulate people's minds with the computers than it is with the library. I have a friend, he's 55 years old. He went back to law school 2 years ago. He decided he wanted to be a lawyer, and he went to college when he was his late 40s, and then went to law school. And he told me that they've never used the law library once. They never have gone in the law library. Everything that people do when they go to law school is done on the computer. Everything.
Yeah. Well, you can attend. You can probably basically attend all the classes online too now.
He can, but it's not the same as he said. I talked with him about this last summer. He said it was messing with him because there is a lot to learn where you, after a class, you can go up to a professor and talk to them informally. And it's just that human interaction is a really big thing. And with that missing, it's harder.
It's harder to get into that student study kind of frame of mind too when you're not, surrounded by the institution itself,
It is. Okay, last thing before I go, because I know there's got to be at least 20 people at Craig are waiting to get on the line right now, right?
Craig said one person.
All right, so I'll be quick. This is from Stop the Drug War, and I just want to do a drug war update today because I just like to be aware. I like other people to be aware of what's going on with like a marijuana policy, and this is about what's going on in New York and New Jersey. And first, New Jersey marijuana legalization in legislative limbo. Oh, what a surprise, Mike. Efforts to move forward with implementing marijuana legalization in New Jersey after voters approved it in November collapsed on Monday. Personal possession of marijuana became legal on January 1st, but this legislation is needed to set up a regulated legal marijuana market. The bill would have done that, A21. It's now been pulled. The major bone of contention is how to punish teenagers caught with marijuana.
Fucking assholes.
There you go. Okay. Second, New York. New York Governor Cuomo vows once again to legalize marijuana. Governor Andrew Cuomo vowed on Monday that New York will legalize marijuana. Quote, "We will legalize adult use recreational cannabis, joining 15 states that already have done so," end quote. He tweeted on Monday, doing so would, quote, "raise revenue and end the failed prohibition of this product that has left so many communities of color over-policed and over-incarcerated," he added. The comments came after he unveiled the new proposal to legalize it next week. New York drug reform advocates say marijuana legalization must include restitution. As the legislature prepares to grapple with marijuana legalization, drug reform advocates are warning any legislation must include funds dedicated to communities most adversely impacted by the war on drugs, quote, "directing resources to the neighborhoods and communities that were within the eye of the target of the drug war for so long is absolutely essential," said Melissa Moore, director of the Drug Policy Alliance. Those same communities, because of structural inequities, are facing layer upon layer of additional crises from COVID-19 deaths and job losses and business closures that are hitting even harder than elsewhere in the state, she added. All right, so interesting thing about that, New Jersey, New York, and then the way the legislature is saying that we must include restitution. I mean, this governor, Andrew Cuomo, I think they've been kind of like, toying with people like you toy with a cat, right? Put a piece of yarn
the same thing with New Jersey too. The same thing. And the way I understand it, the only reason that cannabis is not legal in New York already is entirely because of Cuomo.
Yeah, come on. It's the largest city in America. It's a Democratic state legislature and probably a democratically controlled Senate. And you're telling me that like in 10 years they didn't figure this out?
Yeah.
And they didn't want to figure it out.
Yeah.
Because they used the drug war as a way to hold down communities. I mean, like that last
institutionalized racism. Institutionalized racism.
Yeah. So people in Harlem and people who are, in the poorer neighborhoods like Brooklyn, they're held down. Like their kids aren't going anywhere except for to jail.
It makes it like if you legalize marijuana, then what's the fucking point of stop and frisk now? I mean, come on, dude.
Yeah,
we're not going to get all those arrests anymore. Fuck. Give me a break.
And if David is listening, I hope he calls in and talks about what's going on in the New York legislature. But I also want to just add, it isn't just black neighborhoods in New York City and around the city, but even like poor, depressed, rural communities like in upstate New York, smaller towns and such. If you're poor, right, you're still a target of the state because they see you as weak. And if they see you as weak, they can prey on you. If you have an attorney, you can represent yourself. If you have money for a lawyer, you can represent yourself. If not, you are a potential target of, potential victim. You're going to go to jail. for doing something which, of course, is nonviolent. You didn't even hurt anybody.
We can
trading
basically
drugs or smoking pot.
we can do basically anything to you because and that's the whole thing. Is it's just a matter of the state, the police themselves having power over the people. This cannabis thing, it's like 1/3 of the population where it's illegal uses cannabis regularly. So it's like they have to live in constant fear that their lives are going to get fucked over by the man because of shitty politicians like Chuck Schumer and Cuomo and whoever's in charge in fucking New Jersey. Those people in New Jersey, they should be just fucking furious, man.
Yeah, and that's another place where they pride themselves on being open-minded and, in quotation marks, liberals. They pride themselves. It's another one of those states. So again, I don't know why on earth they haven't figured it out, except for they know they can do it. They just have chosen not to do it. I'm talking about the legislature and the politicians. They know they can do it.
It's the power. They like the power over the people. They like having the people, at least 1/3 of the population, in constant fear that they might step out of bounds, and then we got them because they got a little bit of weed in their pocket. So you can't step out of bounds. You don't get to go to the anti-war protest because if shit goes down and you get fucking arrested, you're going to be in trouble.
For a long time, and if you're poor, that'll affect your life much more for the rest of your life than of course, if you have resources. I read a great analysis of how the blue dog Democrats are used to subvert legislation, intentionally, of the site. But it was an interesting analysis because it's like Joe Manchin right now is the one Democratic senator holding up the $2,000 stimulus checks. Over 75% of Americans, like Republicans and Democrats, agree that we need some money since our whole economy was shut down. Like it's everyone kind of is on the same page, right? 3/4 of the public, but for some reason the Congress had gave us a pittance and it has no intention of following through whatsoever. But the Democrats they keep, the way it was described to me is they keep like 3 or 4 or 5 people in their party that they know those people are not on board with, say, their broader agenda.
Yeah.
But by keeping them in the party, they know that when they block it, they can go to their constituents and say, well, we just got to try harder and we just got to keep trying.
You can see that we're trying to make this happen. If it wasn't for these people that get in the way, it'd already be a done deal. It was up to us. Which is such a bunch of bullshit. Again, it comes back to everything that you're seeing in Congress is theater. And they already know how it's going to play out long before any votes ever get counted.
Yeah, just like the most progressive member in Congress, in quotes, whatever the hell that means these days,
Yeah.
AOC.
Right.
AOC, right? The media darling, AOC. Why she is advocating for outright censorship.
Yep.
And tech platforms removing entire platforms.
Yeah.
Of speech.
Horrible.
So anyway, those are some stories I want to share. And like I said, Pete, remember, you can find the lyrics to Leslie Gore's song on YouTube. On Google. It isn't very hard, and we all would like to hear you sing "You Don't Own Me."
I would actually like to hear that. All right. Hey, Chris, it's always nice to hear from you. Thanks so much for calling. I have a video about New York talking about legalizing. Like I said, this Governor Cuomo is the only reason that it hasn't been legalized so far, from what I understand in New York. So it's all bullshit. It's all theater.
Doesn't his brother work for CNN or something?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that guy.
Yeah, and his father was the governor before him. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That guy. All right, well, I look forward to the video and the rest of the calls, and always appreciate your program and your insight, and y'all have a good night.
All right, Chris. Talk to you soon, Hope.
Yeah, peace. Bye.
Okay, so I have a video about... I got to go heat up my tea. I need a drink. I didn't get any drink in place before I sat down here, so I have to go get my tea, and I'll come back and we'll take a bong hit. But I have a video about... 10,000 National Guard troops being moved into Washington, D.C. 10,000 troops. It's like there's a fucking war going on. okay? Because America, because of freedom, because the members of Congress feel so threatened right now. I'm so scared right now. I don't know what I'm gonna do. What happens if I don't get to see my family again? Fuck you. All right, yeah, well, we better take away everybody's freedom so that you don't have to be scared anymore, huh? Fucking cunts. Somebody get the military in here. I'm so fucking scared right now. All right, here you go. Be right back.
10,000 National Guardsmen will be deployed in Washington, D.C. by this weekend. The decision comes after new threats of violence were posted on social media by those who believe the election was stolen. General Daniel Hawkinson said the current number of Guardsmen will increase from 6,200 to 10,000, and he said it is possible there could be as many as 15,000.
As always, our first priority is to protect people and property. The National Guard looks forward to working with our district and federal partners to ensure a peaceful inauguration for President-elect Biden on January 20th.
Guard officials tell Newsy National Guard members from 6 states could be armed with long rifles and sidearms, but the Pentagon would not confirm that. Their orders have also been extended past the date of the inauguration, lasting until February or longer. And with the possible protests in all 50 states, Guard members are monitoring protests planned across the entire country. Guardsmen have assisted during inaugurations since George Washington, but usually there's a little over 7,000 that would be deployed, which may double by January 20th. Therese Garnier, Newsy, D.C. Armory.
Sometimes life can be a little overwhelming. Sometimes the weight of the world can be too much to bear. Sometimes you need to stop worrying and take a deep breath. Sometimes you need cannabis. Introducing Brightside, high-quality cannabis delivered right to your door. Brightside offers an extensive menu of strains and products to meet your needs. Choose the experience you want, and we'll send you the dankest herb, the real sticky icky, some top-shelf marijuana. If you like what we send you, keep the whole jar. We'll even include some nugs for you to blaze. As part of Discovery, you'll get to try new strains and products. Side effects may include euphoria, increased appetite, uncontrollable giggles, elevated sensitivity to musical dopeness, and reduced anxiety. Tetrahydrocannabinol may also induce feelings of existential well-being and relentless optimism. With a Brightside subscription, you can get it once a month, once a week, or whenever you want, all at a price you'll like. And yes, this is a real company. Ask your doctor if cannabis is right for you. It probably is. Keep it Brightside.
New York could become the 16th state to legalize recreational marijuana. Governor Andrew Cuomo is pushing forward legislation to legalize the drug. He says it could give the state an economic boost. Cuomo also said it would bring an end to the disproportionate impact that drug charges have on Black and Latino communities.
All right, so let's see. I don't want to play that one. We played that one already. What's happening over here? This mouse jumps all over the place. Go back to Stump Lake. That is Stump Lake, ladies and gentlemen, in case you're wondering. Okay, so we got the. I still have a Ron Paul video for you guys, an interview from earlier today where he's talking about being censored on Facebook for, being anti-war, I guess, being all about peace and freedom, because freedom is an act of sedition. In case I haven't been clear today, freedom itself is an act of sedition. They could easily, this word, man, this is a very bad word. Like I said, were it not for sedition, this country would not exist, okay? Were it not for an act of sedition, standing up against authority, rebelling against authority. Don't forget it. Tell everyone, because they're going to spread this word like it's this evil thing. Sedition. I do it every single day. I commit acts of sedition every single day. It's one of the things I'm most proud of. So you all know. So if you're wondering what's happening here on this page, it's one of the things I'm best at, and I'm very, very like it's not very obvious, you know. Stop telling me what to do. It's not very obvious, but when the time is right, it goes in your brain. So you know. Crazy person sneaking into your head. Okay, so I have Ron Paul video, and if anybody wants to call, the number's right there on the screen. It's 805-669-6397. I'm about ready for a bong hit, but I need a sip of tea first, but the tea's too hot. So I gotta like this. Everything is so complicated right now. I need the National Guard in place immediately. How else can I feel safe and secure? I need at least 10,000 fucking little army soldiers on the streets. Or else how can I feel safe? How can any of us feel safe? Because there's freedom going on in America, goddammit. We can't have that. I'm going to have a bong hit. Because there's freedom going on this channel, goddammit. And we can't have that. And we will until they kick us off, because we have freedom going on this channel. So you know. Because eventually they're going to go, yeah, we don't like your freedom, your so-called freedom. And we feel it's a threat to all of us that have the hive mentality. So you're out of here. How many times have they tried to do that before? How many times? No, you don't own me. I can't sing. I'm not gonna do it. I have to listen to it first. I thought Chris did a pretty good job of it, though. It would be nice to hear Pete. I bet Pete would love to do that. Hopefully he'll get the message. Don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me what to say. Don't tell me what to think. And don't tell me who to be. Good one, Chris. That one's a little hot. I'm feeling much better now. Hello, caller.
Hey, Mike, how you doing? Thanks for taking my call. I can't believe I'm on. It's kind of an honor because I've been listening to you off and on over the years, and I was telling your call screener, I remember you had a picture of Ganeshji in the background. I'm Indian myself, and I love that you did that, man. Much respect to you.
Right on. Well, I have little statues of him and all kinds of stuff. It's kind of, I don't know, you know, that poster that you're talking about, a friend of mine was tripping, and he said that poster called him to him and said, I belong with Mike. So he bought the poster and brought him to me.
Oh, okay. The reason I'm all excited is because, I saw what you've been doing over the years, putting in news information, following up. I always loved how you ran it. And, off and on I play your videos, and I'm like, wow, Mox News is on. I'm on the phone with him. You're kind of like a celebrity. You are a celebrity, actually. So I really appreciate it. Before I tell you why I called, if you don't mind me asking, I know it's a personal question, are you Hindu? Do you follow Hinduism or any of the religions of India, or no?
I don't really follow any religions at all. I listen to a lot of teachings, but I don't really follow anything. and just you take from it whatever works for you. And I love the Karma Sutra. I absolutely love the Karma Sutra. So.
Okay. Nice. Okay. I know you got a show to run. Let me get to it. Okay. So
It's all good. Hey, I really appreciate you calling. What is your name?
Yeah, it's so. Can I go by my YouTube name? I have a.
You can go by whatever name you like.
The Universe Galaxy. What I like to do is I like to call in for different subjects. I was asking your call screener, do you take different subjects or do you only stay on subject?
We can talk about whatever you want.
Okay, all right. I got 4 subjects for you, and here they are. If you don't like any of them, no hard feelings. At least you gave me a chance. I got 4 of them. The first one is a light one. I doubt you'll take it. It's a light one. It's my subject of sports, Michael Jordan fans, or the worst NBA fans. That's a sports one. I'm guessing you wouldn't want to take that, right?
I don't know anything about sports.
Okay, no problem. Second subject, I got 3 more to go. As an independent myself, being from India myself, I've learned a lot of Indians believe in being independent. Don't side with one party. Don't go for dictators and kings all the time. Go case by case, things like that. I've come to the conclusion, and I can prove it on facts, that Republicans are worse than Democrats. I'm guessing you would agree with me, but I'm putting that as one subject for you.
I see them as the same. I see them as the same.
Oh wow!
I see them as the parties that have happily worked hand in hand together to bring us to this horrible moment where we're at right now.
Okay, so we might have a disagreement there. So let me give the last 2, and then you decide what you want to do. The third subject. When people go to a store and buy meat, cheese, milk, or anything that comes from an animal, do they ever stop and think? I know lots do, but lots don't. That when they buy those things, they're literally giving their money. They're literally giving their money to an industry that tortures and kills animals. Then.
I don't know. The empathy has been shut down in the world. You know what I mean? We barely think about other people, let alone animals.
Okay, and my last and final subject. And this is after this, you decide if you want to keep me on or hang up. This usually is the most controversial, although it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. But for a lot of people to get emotional, but I think it's an important topic. Here it is. Kind of sweating here. When a guy graduates high school, he's no longer in high school. He graduates. He's done with high school. Is there any religion or any science anywhere in common sense or anything, wherever you figure things out, that tells him that his biological system, he is no longer supposed to be attracted to girls in high school then? Those are my 4 subjects.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think there's a lot of programming that goes on when it comes to sexual attraction, I mean,
okay.
I think that's pretty obvious. But I'd love to talk to you about this thing where you think that we might have this disagreement as to, me believing that both the left and the right are fake, and basically they're just the same entity.
Sure.
I've said again and again, I believe that they're the same thing. They're just talking to different suckers.
So before we get into this, I want to tell the audience, this is how you run a program. Notice how he gave me a chance. Right away he put me on. He gave me lots of time. He wasn't rude. He let me go over the 4 subjects, and he kept me on and picked one. A lot of people who do podcasts, they either take forever to get to the caller, or they get rude, or they hang up fast because they don't want to be proven wrong, or something negative. And this guy on the host, this is how he acts, very nice. So all you people out there who do a podcast, you can learn from this guy. Okay, I have to give you credit to be nice like that, But to the thing about Republicans and Democrats, here's why I disagree. I'm an independent. I don't chain myself to any party. I've never voted. I hate the Electoral College, and I'll never give my money to any of these, to this ridiculous system where we're not counting votes. The reasons I think Republicans are worse are a few reasons. Number one, they have a almost dangerous hatred for the left, where everything is a left fault. I used to work in radio, and I'm very well aware of what they do in AM radio. All day long, it's the left is to blame for this, you name it, it's blame. The second problem that they do is they give a pass to the right. So what they'll do is they'll criticize Republicans. They'll say Republicans are wrong too, but they pretty much, at the end of the day, point the finger at the left, and then for the same things, they'll give a pass to the Republicans. The third thing they do is they believe in a lot of things where like everything is pretty much going down the drain, because of the left. So Detroit, Chicago, New York, America, values, culture. There's more examples, but you get the point. It's all the left's fault. And the last thing that they do is they believe in lots of ridiculous, paranoid conspiracy theories. When you put it together, they're worse than Democrats. They do similar things, but Republicans are worse than Democrats then.
Well, okay, let's say that basically that they all go together, but then they all somehow are able to come together in the end and magically make these bills happen that keep the country running, right? So,
Yeah.
and if what you really need is some kind of a base so that you are able to stick around forever, then the thing that you need the most is a common enemy that we're all fighting against, you know. The reason that I say again that they're the same is because they do, and that they're the same. They're just talking to different suckers. Is because, you know, the again, that's what the right is looking for. They're looking for, you know, they you know, they want to cling to their guns and to their Bibles, is what's been said, to their anti-abortion stuff, you know. But it's not. That's again. This is just. It's like with religion, you know. You find these people that want to hear these words, and then you say those words, and then they give you money. It's like fucking magic, dude.
That's true.
You know, and it works the same way on the left. It works the same way. The caller right before you was talking about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Is that it? Is that correct? AOC, and he was saying how you know, they just a few months ago they were talking about how horrible censorship is in the social media, and that they have to, and now after they censor, not just censor a bunch of people that are QAnon or whatever, which I don't give a fuck. I don't know a damn thing about QAnon. Okay, not a single thing, but. I can tell you that it's like they did the same thing to Alex Jones, you know? And Alex Jones is just another guy out here, you know, an American talking to people, you know? And they all acted as if he was a danger to society, you know? And then they all...
Okay, so you actually pointed out something that I want to correct myself on. When I was giving you the 4 reasons why Republicans are worse, I think I repeated one of them twice. What I should have explained was they also contradict themselves a lot, the Republicans. So when you brought up your point a little while ago, I think it was a contradiction. You reminded me on that. So here's my follow-up to that. Think of it like you have 2 animals. You have an elephant and a rat. They're both animals. They both might be wild. They both might be in the jungle.
How about an elephant and a donkey?
Okay, an elephant and donkey. That's a good joke right there. Elephant and donkey. So they're both animals. They both might be dirty. They both might be in the jungle. But one is bigger than the other. The elephant's bigger than the donkey. And when you judge something like politics, usually you should go by the total package of everything. When you go by everything, there's just no logical reason to act like Democrats are worse, which are not doing that, I know, but also to act like they're on the same level. They may do similar things, and they may do both questionable things, but one is worse than the other. It's just, when you go by all the information, Republicans are worse than Democrats. Though.
Okay, look at. Okay, here's my argument. Okay, and that is that we were led into a war based on lies in Iraq, where 1 million innocent Iraqis died, and a whole lot more millions were fucking displaced, and you know, all this antiquities destroyed. And the Democrats, Hillary Clinton was in the Senate at that time, and when they were marching to war, you know, in Iraq, when Bill Clinton, when George W. Bush and Dick Cheney were like, you know, we don't want the, you know, warning to come in the shape of a mushroom cloud, you know, bullshit, complete and utter fucking bullshit. Hillary Clinton, instead of saying, you know, this is complete and utter bullshit, and they're going to go and kill a bunch of people in our good name with our tax dollars, and I personally think that's a bad idea, chose instead to help use lies to lie the American people into a war where they soiled the good name of America, the good name of Americans. And I don't know how you can, you know what I mean? I don't know how. That's just the basic. And Joe Biden, the same thing. He helped make that happen. He could have been this outspoken voice in the Senate saying, no, I mean, there were people. There was Ron Paul. There was Dennis Kucinich. There were people, but these real upper echelon leadership, that the whole world listens to. People were like, yeah, goose step right into this fucking war, and it cost us trillions of dollars and all these people's lives, and think about what we could think about the world that we could have built if we were going to take all those trillions of dollars and all that energy spent and try and make the world a better place with that money and that energy, You know what I mean?
This is where we don't disagree. The Democrats were wrong to support the Iraq War. People died. People got injured. There was suffering. All these horrible things happened. They did not have to go to war. So on that note, you are right. We're not going to have a disagreement there. But there are a couple of differences. This is not an excuse or a defense for Democrats. I don't want you to take that. But since you brought up the Iraq War, more Democrats were, at least some point, maybe later on, against the Iraq War than Republicans, and they didn't do what Republicans did, where they changed the reason. Where the main reason we went there was Saddam Hussein might be a threat with weapons, and then it became, well, we got to spread democracy. So they didn't change and lie like that, where they were changing, well, we went there for other reasons, which they did, but the main reason was the weapons, a threat from Saddam Hussein. Then the other thing you may want to consider is a lot of Republicans were hypocrites and contradicted themselves on the Iraq War, because here they were telling you Saddam Hussein might be a threat with weapons, and we got to spread democracy in the Middle East. And what did the Republicans do? They attacked Iraq, and then they labeled Pakistan an ally. Here's a country, Pakistan, that had weapons, that sold weapons.
Nuclear weapons. Go ahead.
And I could give you a bunch more examples of Pakistan, but you get the point. The point is, how is it that Iraq is an enemy? Pakistan is an ally. Saudi Arabia was an ally. And that's what the Republicans did. So I'm not defending Democrats. Remember, I'm an independent. I don't vote for any of these parties, and I don't give money to any of these parties. And I'm not Democrats were to blame for the Iraq War. That's true. But if you want to be fair in the long term, one was worse than the other. Republicans are worse. Now, if you said to me,
my point is that they're playing their roles, okay? And you basically, this. I mean, they're doing. There's this contingency that speaks out against the war, and they know that they're like in the minority, and that there's going to be plenty of people to make the war effort continue on for as long as they want, and it's they do it. But they do it hand in hand, and they do it so deceptively. And I mean, the whole Iraq War is based completely on lies. And then they act like Donald Trump is the most vile president ever, and he's just done everything so horribly. And I despise Donald Trump. I think he's a horrible example of a human being. I'm
not a fan of him either.
This occupation of the House of Representatives and the Senate, the Capitol, this was, they act like, this is all Donald Trump's fault. If it wasn't for Donald Trump, this never would have happened. That's not why this happened. It happened because the people are mad as hell at the so-called representatives who represent no one in the working class. What I'm saying is that, and let me finish this thought. And they immediately, both the Democrats and the Republicans jump to, these people are domestic terrorists. Okay, and I don't know if you watched the show over the summer, but all summer long, when people would try and label the protesters like, no, these are Americans. This is a proud American tradition of going into the street and demanding better from our so-called representative government. And I just think that when you see both sides immediately, these are domestic terrorists, and we need to deal with them. Chuck Schumer, I want these people on the no-fly list. This is it's obvious to me that there's no difference. They're just these horrible authoritarians who don't respect our freedom in the slightest, and that's the biggest thing for me is that.
So for example, if you were to say to me, look, in the Iraq War, people died, they got injured. horrible things happen, suffering happened. So because of all those things, it doesn't matter which party you think is worse or not, because they're both to blame. I'm on your side.
Yeah.
I have no dispute with you, because wrong is wrong, evil is evil, horrible is horrible, and suffering is suffering.
Right.
It's just that now when you judge parties in general, not just the Iraq War, but when you judge parties in general, if you said to me the Iraq War was one of your biggest reasons for why you think that their parties are the same, I wouldn't dispute you, because that's a very reasonable thing to believe and not believe, to go by.
It was the first thing I went to. Yeah, go ahead.
That's a very fun. There's nothing wrong with that. In other words, then, but if you go by the parties in general, the general thing of the parties, they're not the same because one is worse than the other. You have to go by all the information to go by the total package. So, for example, you gave the example about the people storming Capitol Hill, and how I guess one of your points is that they're not all terrible, right? That they're allowed just protesting.
Well, the first thing they do is label protesters. They did this with the Occupy protesters. The Occupy protesters first were public fornicators and drug users and all these horrible things.
Sure.
The people who occupied the Capitol, the first thing they called them was anarchist. And I was like, anarchist? What the fuck are you talking about? These aren't fucking anarchists. And then it was pro-Trump supporters, and then it was insurrectionists, and then it was fucking domestic terrorist. And the point is, there isn't anybody on the left or the right saying these are Americans, because I don't see them as pro-Trump people. I know there's pro-Trump people in there, but I bet you there was some Democrats and other people in there. I believe that wholeheartedly, and I'm sure there was independents and libertarians in there.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. Like, when you make it seem like it wasn't just Donald Trump who incited them, and there might be Democrats, it's not that you're wrong. No one is claiming that it's 100% Donald Trump's fault.
They are. Oh, yes, they are. They absolutely are.
But in any case, most reasonable people will understand it's not 100% Donald Trump's fault. And sure, there might be some Democrats there, but we have to go by the overall picture. Usually, the people who were there were Donald Trump supporters, and not only that, a lot of these people who did these kind of things, like the take back our country, blame the left, let's get Nancy Pelosi, there's more examples. But
stop the steal, I get
it. Yeah, these kind of things, they're getting this from somewhere. It's not like they just decided we don't like our politics, we're going to do it. They're learning this from places like Sean Hannity's program, Glenn Beck's program, AM radio, and other places that are like, pro Donald Trump then.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you're new to my work on YouTube, but I mean, I've served, well over half a billion views on YouTube, and, I mean, a lot of people have seen directly what it is that the people, the so-called representatives do in the people's house, and they don't feel like they're doing their business at all. Again, if you look at the Iraq War and a million other examples very similar to that, the legalization of marijuana. Oh yeah, we're going to get to that now. All these things, where it's just against our freedom, holding the people down, keeping the people in place under the police state's thumb. If you look at that, then you understand that there isn't anybody that's trying to there hasn't been anybody that's really trying to give the people their freedom, and I just hate it when they label Americans, because they want to do this with all the protesters, and it's not just that all of a sudden they're calling these protesters domestic terrorists. There was many people who did that over the summer too, when it was the BLM protesters, that we covered all summer long. So.
They did, but can we acknowledge there's one difference?
Okay, but let me just make one point. Let me just make one quick, and I'll let you go. But
I thought there was a pause.
There was. There absolutely was. But I just want to say that it's mind-boggling to me for someone like Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer, who's been doing the people's business for generations, to act as if they have zero responsibility, that those people in that crowd, are mad at them for completely made up reasons,
Okay, so do you mind if I show you some things that Republicans believe, and then you put the pieces together? I won't take long.
Okay.
Barack Obama was not born in America.
Uh-huh.
Barack Obama
Well, that
born
was
in Indonesia.
that was a Donald Trump thing, and he was very, you know, that's kind of where he got his kind of national notoriety, and from the start of his presidential candidacy, I said, look at what he did, and he was a horrible piece of shit for doing it, and all this. Go ahead.
No, I understand, but I want you to see the pattern. I really want you to focus on how they think over the years and what they think. So he's born in Indonesia. His birth certificate is fake. He's not an American citizen. The liberals control all the media.
Okay. Can I respond to that real quick? I know people that are lifelong Republicans who voted for Barack Obama because they saw something that they really hoped was a better thing. Okay,
right,
and I mean serious GOP right-wing fucking Republicans. Go ahead.
Right, I'm not referring to the reasonable people like you. I'm referring to the right-wing wackos. So when they tell you that liberalism is a mental disorder, liberals are control the media, liberals are coming after your guns, liberals want America to fail, liberals are against God, liberals are for the devil, liberals are for killing babies, liberals are to blame for Detroit, Los Angeles, New York, and all the other major cities that are going down the drain. And basically, liberals have no values. Liberals want to take away your freedom. I could give you more examples, but you get the point. The point I'm making is basically when you put it all together, these people have a hatred for the left, and they blame everything on the left, and they have a paranoid thing about the liberals they contradict themselves, and they believe in paranoid conspiracy theories. So when you tell me about Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and all those people, no matter what they do, Mox News, they're going to find some reason to hate on them. And the best example I can give you, turn on AM radio anytime, any city, any day, if it's a Republican radio, all day long, it's basically pointing the finger at the left then. And when you dehumanize people like that and label them all and put them like in a tribe mentality, you're going to get right-wing wacko people, God forbid, who are doing right-wing wacko nutty things then.
And again, all the people that you're talking about, the politicians, the media, that are doing the things that you're saying they're doing, you know, spreading this, you know, the left is all to blame for everything, you know, that just works for them. That gives them, again, this enemy that we can all unite behind.
Yes.
And once they have that, when Rush Limbaugh has that audience of the enemy that we can all unite behind, then his job is easy, and he's got his built-in audience forever.
And that's actually one of my points when I called in. They're putting their party above their nation. You know, as a guy from India, even though I was born here, my background is from India. I'm first generation.
Again, I don't think it's party. I think it's this is an opportunity for them. They see an end. I see a lot of religion like this, as where people see the option to take advantage here. All I have to do is say the things that they're desperate to hear.
But the difference is, though, so remember when I said they blame everything on the left? I don't mean that like 100% literally. I know they blame the right, too, but what I mean is, at the end of the day, they're going to point the finger at the left and give a pass to the right then, and they keep voting for these Republicans.
It goes both ways. I mean, they give a pass to the left. The left gives a pass to the left all the time.
No, it does. No, you're right, but there's a difference. When Republicans say they want to be in power, what do they go on? They say we want small government, low taxes, protect the border, conservative things. Look at the people they vote for every year. Ronald Reagan, George Bush, John McCain, Mitt Romney, Donald Trump. These are not true conservatives. Now look at what the left does. The left also supports Democrats, but they're not contradicting themselves. They want certain things, and they vote for people like Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, people who are on the left. There's no contradiction there. So when you're contradicting yourself
there is. Barack Obama is no fucking liberal, and neither is Hillary Clinton. Okay?
Would you agree that Barack Obama and Hillary are more liberal than the other ones are more conservative?
Again, that's how it works. Okay? You go, see, but they're the lesser of two evil. Yes, they're both evil, but they're the lesser of two evil. Why can't you see that? Why can't you see that?
I got you. So if that's the case, wouldn't you at least agree that when the Republicans do those things, are they not putting their party above their nation then?
I don't think so. 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 I I think that that when it comes to politicians, all that matters is them. It's like Donald Trump. All that matters is Donald Trump. I don't see anyone in our representative government, in my entire life representing me, number one, but in our representative government representing really anyone in the working class. It's always so strange to me when these giant unions get behind these politicians who just have screwed them over and over again, and we're going to put our power behind them. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. But do you really think that Donald Trump and Mitt Romney are the same level of conservative that Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton are the same level of liberal? I know you said the lesser of two evils. I know that, but they're not on the same level then.
Mitt Romney and Donald Trump are very similar people.
No, they don't even agree with each other. They're very different.
That's the theater, man. That's the theater. Look at Mitt Romney will like nothing better than to make deals with Donald Trump. That's the way it works. That's what has got us to this point in history, is that the so-called liberals reaching across the aisle to the so-called conservatives, who they hate clearly because they're the evil ones. They're the evil ones. No, you're the evil ones. No, you're a towel. But we can get together so we can make this happen, so we can screw over the American people and make them all potential enemy combatants, so that we can now spy on every single thing that they do online and on their cell phones. And every single year we get together and we make sure that we're able to re-sign that same document that says all Americans are potential terrorists. That's why we have to spy on your 12-year-old daughter's fucking cell phone and take every picture she takes, regardless if she sends it to anybody or not, and put it in a file with her name on it. Okay? That's the country we live in. It's a fucking police state, and it's that way because the liberals, the so-called liberals, and the so-called Democrats and Republicans have worked together to make it that way, and it's true.
Okay, how about this? I want to find out. I'm having an open mind. I'll have an open mind. So when I was giving you the example of Donald Trump and Mitt Romney, I only gave those two examples just to save time. My point was not just those two. My point was Ronald Reagan, George Bush, Mitt Romney, all these people that are voting for us president, they're not true conservatives. Now, you say on the left they're not voting for...
Donald Trump is not a true conservative. You know that,
yeah,
right?
Right.
Yeah.
He's not a true conservative. I agree. But now, so your follow-up to me was basically that the left does the same thing. They're not. You didn't say these exact words, but your point is they don't vote for the true liberals. So I followed up to you by asking, do you think the people they vote for, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, for example, are on the same level of, okay, they're not the true liberals like the Donald Trumps and Mitt Romneys are not the true conservatives? You're telling me they're on the same level, basically. So here's my follow-up now. Dr. Ron Paul, this man was probably the most truest conservative a few years ago when they were having the option to vote, and they did not go for Dr. Ron Paul. A lot of Republicans made fun of him or acted like he was a wacko, strange, and all.
Okay, they did the same thing to Bernie Sanders too. You know that, right?
I was just going to get to that.
Okay.
Now the Democrats, they had Bernie Sanders, but there was more love for Bernie Sanders than the Republicans had for Dr. Ron Paul. And that's my point to you: is one is worse than the other. Then.
Okay, but the voters, again, the voters were screwed over, along with Ron Paul, in the 2012 election when Mitt Romney was running against whoever Mitt Romney was running against. Barack Obama. In Iowa, Ron Paul, where the very first caucus happens, the very first primary vote for president happens, Iowa, Ron Paul actually won Iowa in 2012. And then with the media's help and the Republican fucking bullshit spin machine, they made it so that they see, again, it's not just the Democrats who do this with the elections. It's not just this election where there's shenanigans going on. The shenanigans have been going on a long time, and they didn't actually report the the caucus, the primary for Iowa happens in February, early in February, and then they didn't report until actually May, after a whole bunch more primaries had taken place, that Ron Paul actually had won the Iowa caucus. And they were all full of shit about it. And first it was Rick Santorum. And nobody named Santorum is ever going to win anything again, so you know.
Okay, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. I'm trying to, like, I think I figured you out, but I really want to find out how far you go with this. Fox News, all right? MSNBC, CNN, AM radio. I'm sure you know how Fox News is and how AM radio is, and I'm sure you know how CNN and MSNBC is. Do you truly think that MSNBC and CNN are on that same level, since you're acting like both sides are to blame, they're same, on the same level to the left as Fox News and AM radio is to the right then?
Okay. There's this thing that the so-called conservative media does that is something that you don't see a whole lot on the right. I mean, on the left. Like I was riding in the car with my mom. My mom's gone now. I wish I could give my mom a hug. If you can give your mom a hug, please give your mom a hug.
Very nice of you.
I was riding in the car with my mom, and she listened to fucking Rush Limbaugh. And Rush Limbaugh was talking about how the reason there's no fish in the polluted area of the rivers where, you know, the whatever factories are polluting the rivers with this whatever is because the fish are smart enough to stay away from the polluted areas. I was like, Mom, do you think the reason that there's no fish in the polluted areas because the fish are smart enough to stay away? And she's like, I don't know, you know. And this is what the problem is, you know. I don't see that happening in the left a lot. But then when you have this event that's incredibly important, like not that pollution in rivers is not important, but
But that's my point, Fox News. I'm not claiming that CNN and MSNBC, by the way, are so far to the left. No, Republicans think those kind of things. Some of them. My point to you is this: even if you believe CNN and MSNBC is to the left or moderate or kind of far left or whatever, my point to you is Fox News and AM radio, the conservative media, is way more to the right than they're worse. That's my point to you. Not that the Democrats are not to blame or they're not ridiculous or stupid or whatever. Well, I don't want to say stupid, whatever negative word you want to use in general. My point to you is one is worse than the other. So when I put on CNN, MSNBC, ABC, or any of these other networks, they're either moderate to the left, sometimes to the right. When I put on Fox News and AM radio, it is right-wing, wacko, hatred, dangerous, real negative things.
Okay, look, and again, it's these people playing their role. You know, I mean, I don't see them as right and left. I just see them as they're just talking to different suckers, man. I think this is really important, and I've said it 1,000 times. You know, when I say they're talking to different suckers, I'm talking about you people. Okay, they're talking to different suckers who go, oh yeah, that, you know, because that's what works for you. You're on, you want to you choose yourself to identify somehow as left, right, and that just all, and the only people that works for is the elite who are actually in power. Go ahead.
But what is your follow-up? Because it does seem like you do recognize that CNN, MSNBC, whatever, ABC, I'm assuming, whatever, that they're not on the same level to the left as the conservative media. It's right. You know, you recognize it, but then you jump ship and go, well, they're playing a game. They're just having an audience. It's pretty much the same.
Right, because they need to have this audience. And if they were saying stupid shit like the fish are you know, smart enough to bubble, you know, okay, if they were saying stupid shit like that, they're going to lose their audience. So they can't play stupid like that. Okay, but at the same time they can go, oh, these Americans who occupy the people's house, they're terrorists. And I've watched all the liberal media do that. Okay, and they're calling them terrorists. And you know what? I didn't see any bombs go off. I didn't see any fire set. I didn't see fucking 300-year-old paintings ripped off the wall. I didn't see statues toppled. I didn't see spray paint painted everywhere. Okay, they're not fucking terrorists. And when they do that shit, they're misleading the people. They're misinforming. They're misprogramming the people in an incredibly negative way. And both sides are doing it as big as they possibly can. And it disgusts me. And that's what I'm saying is when it really matters, when somebody could be standing up and saying, hey, these are Americans who have the right to take back the people's house, right? If they have the right to take any house, they have the right to take the people's house. Come on. Instead of anybody saying anything like that, it's like they're domestic terrorists. You know, both sides.
But Lucky, here's where I don't get. And maybe it's my fault. Maybe I'm not getting it. I don't get how, on the one hand, you recognize the differences between the two, but then you just summarize it as they're pretty much the same. If there's a difference,
because when it matters, when it really matters, when we're talking about making a difference, stopping war, when we're talking about stopping this evil, like this event in the Capitol, right? They're just going to use this to take away our freedoms, to lock down that shit more and more. And there isn't someone on the right and there isn't someone on the left saying, no, we're supposed to be protecting the people's freedoms, not taking them away. And they're just joining as quickly as possible to say, yes, we have to squash this evil now and forever. We want those people on a no-fly list immediately. Go ahead.
So at what point do you go, I'm just asking a question, at what point do you go, freedom is one thing, but what about the risk of security?
You know, Ben Franklin said, those who will give up a little freedom for security deserve neither and will have neither, or something to that effect.
Not to create a new subject, you do realize, do you think it's a good idea to hold the founding fathers in such highlight like that when you know the horrible things that were happening when they were in power then?
I hold the document that they created in very high esteem. I see them, as what they said first. Okay, and remember again. I want to point this out. This country would not exist were it not for an act of sedition. Okay, speaking up, inciting people to rebel against authority. Okay, that's what this country was founded on. Now, I
disagree, Max. When you have a lot of human beings who are being forced to, slave and raped and hardship and all the horrors, I don't think it's a fair thing when Americans go, this country was founded on some freedom thing.
It was found. That's not what I said. I said it was founded on an act of sedition to rebel against authority. That's what I said. I didn't say freedom once.
I know you didn't say that, but the reason I characterize like that, just to summarize, a lot of people in this country, and I'm lumping in you, I know, forgive me, but what they'll do is they'll say, this country was founded on this, on that, on this, but at the end of the day, one of the...
Yeah, well, have you ever heard one of them say this country was founded on an act of sedition? Because I've said it like 20 times tonight, okay? I want to be real clear. That's the facts, Jack. Go ahead.
You did. But at the same time, when they have human beings for free labor and they're being horrible to them and raping them and all these negative things, why not go, the real reason this country was founded was on blood, on Native Americans, black people, Mexicans. It was founded because they took land and they had their way and they forced their way and all these horrible things.
Just because the slaves get a minimum wage now doesn't mean that we don't have slaves in this country.
No, wait, I'm not saying that, but that's a whole different argument because what the black people went through 200 years ago is not the same as today. It was worse then.
Well, I think that a lot of black people have a very difficult time in this country, and and that's it's institutionalized racism, and I don't want to play that down in any way, I fight for everyone. I all summer long we broadcast the BLM protests, and all summer long I said these are Americans, okay? Because the Americans, this is a proud American tradition to go into the streets and demand that their government hear their voices, and that's exactly what the people did at the Capitol.
I never doubted, just for the record, that you were against black people or racist or downplaying what they went through. Nothing like that. What I was trying to do was, whenever you find out how America was founded, all the horrible things, taking land, raping, murder, and all that, every dot of water adds up in the bucket of how a country does well. And when they're doing so many horrible things over and over and over, it doesn't make sense 200 years later to go, well, here's what the founders wanted, and this is what the country was founded on, and like something like summarized.
Look, it's this document. Okay, I didn't get to the document. It's this document that I praise. I'm not praising the founders. I may quote them from time to time, but I'm not really praising them. What I'm saying is this document says first, you have the right to live your life the way you choose. And second, no one will ever be able to take that right from you. Okay.
It's great philosophically, but I got to ask you though, when you know what they did back then, and you know a lot of the founding fathers didn't apply these laws fairly to everyone, and some of them had slaves. Nor did
Barack Obama. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, sure. I've never understood why. I'm not saying you're doing this, but you're kind of in that atmosphere where you're holding them to highlight. These founding fathers were flawed, and they had flawed documents that were not equally
We're all
applied,
flawed.
and
We're all flawed.
Right, we're all flawed. So my point to you is, I know I summarized it. I know you can say I'm contradicting myself because I summarized it by going, America was founded on, whatever I said earlier, on blood and all that. But there's a difference. They did horrible things on blood. America became bigger, stronger, and more popular and all that based on a lot of horrible things that people did that they forced them to do. And the animals too, I'm sure. The animals too. So that's why I've never understood why Americans summarize the past as it was founded on this and here's what the founding fathers did then.
Well, because the idea that, first you have the right to live your life, and second you have the right to defend that. Nobody's going to take it from you, that right to live your life. There wasn't really, that was ingrained from the very start of, this is who we're going to be. This country is going to be moving forward. The idea behind that, the ideal, I should say, behind that.
Sure. But has the idea ever been perfectly? No, it doesn't have to be perfect. Even there's going to be mistakes, but has it been fairly applied to all the humans in America?
Again, like you said, I don't think it's. Absolutely not. I don't know how many times I said institutionalized racism to you on this conversation. Yeah,
I was actually surprised by that. By the way, I know you don't mean this, but you don't think black people today have it worse than the slaves, right? I just want to. I know you don't, but the way you phrase how black people are treated today, they're not. You don't think they're treated as bad as. Like, in other words, the slaves were treated worse. You know that, right?
Yeah. Well, the slaves were treated like any commodity. Get in line, do it. You're just I know. I understand that the slaves were, mistreated. Horribly, so were the Native Americans,
right.
and like you said, so many animals and stuff, the slaughter of the buffalo. Yeah. I think that this is kind of the story of man again and again and again. I don't think it's necessarily uniquely the story of America.
That's true, but I do want to point out that this goes back to having the differences on levels. A lot of other countries, I don't want to say most, a lot of other countries don't have the same history of going around the world, forcing people to convert to religion, murdering people in the name of religion, raping people, and all that. I'm not saying horrible things don't happen.
Well, sure, you never heard of the Knights Templar or something? Or the Spanish Inquisition? Or the Spanish Inquisition or something? You never heard
that happened too, right? That happened too. So my point is not that horrible things don't happen all around the world. They do. It's not just America. But we have to be able to tell, if we're going to judge, we're going to have to tell the differences. There's a difference between, for example, a country's history like America versus India, for example. As you guys know, I'm from India, so I'm going to bring India into this. They're not the same thing. So human beings do horrible things, but there's a difference with certain groups when it comes to the entire history of the planet, then.
Of course there is. Yeah, when I say that that Republicans and Democrats are the same, I'm not talking about the voters. I'm not talking about the people of the country. I'm just talking about the theater that's going on, playing out before our eyes as if, one's on our side. Neither one of them is on our side. Not the tiniest little bit.
So if you had to make a prediction, let's say hypothetically 20 years from now, you had a very, very popular Democrat ruling the nation or a very, very popular Republican ruling the nation. Do you think they're on the same level then?
I think either one is very dangerous. You know, I mean.
Oh wow, Fox News. I'm surprised. I would think logically, if you had like, for example, Barack Obama versus Donald Trump, if one was ruling for 20 years, I would think they would be. It wouldn't be the same thing then.
Well, I think either one is very dangerous. I mean, if you look at what Barack Obama did with the military and what Donald Trump did with the military, I think a lot more U.S. soldiers were killed under Barack Obama than under Donald Trump. Pretty darn
That's a
sure.
fair point. I'm not an expert on that, but if that's true, that's a very fair point. Yeah,
You know.
I would never defend Barack Obama if
Yeah.
people are dying and being tortured.
Well, I use him as an example because they say he's the most progressive president of all time, and I don't see him as a liberal in the slightest little way.
I think a lot of people on the left were disappointed in Barack Obama. Some may say he's most progressive. Usually, a lot of Republicans, whenever there's a Democrat in power, they always go, "This is the most liberal." Hillary Clinton, most liberal. John Kerry, most liberal. Barack Obama,
Right,
most
right,
liberal.
right.
They're all the most liberal.
Yeah.
But the truth is, a lot of Democrats, people on the left, they questioned him. They were disappointed. They thought he was okay or average. But with the Republicans, though, this is another example. They think, a lot of them think, that Donald Trump can do no wrong. He's the best president of all time. He's number one and all that. I'm not saying all Republicans like him, no. But that's the difference. The difference in the level. The love for Donald Trump, no matter what he does, is not the same as the love for Barack Obama, no matter what he does.
Well, look, I here's the deal. Okay, when it
When
comes
it comes to the left and the right, then.
okay, again, I like I said, told you earlier, I know a lot of lifelong Republicans have voted for Barack Obama, and in saying that, what I want to say is it's not just Americans. When Barack Obama came into power, he had the whole world behind him. Okay, Barack Obama was going to these places, and like 1 million people were showing up in Germany to see this guy that nobody ever heard of speak. You know, and so he had the whole world support, and it was because of the 8 years of leadership of fucking George W. Bush and Dick Cheney, and people were just like, oh my God, such a breath of fresh air, an intelligent human being, and they're like, please give us something, make America the shiny beacon on the hill again, you know, and that leads us out of this fucking thing, and he didn't do that. He could have made. Again, not just having a mandate from Americans, knowing that both Republicans and Democrats overwhelmingly voted for the guy compared to the other people, the other side, knowing that he had that mandate, but the mandate of the entire world. He could have made anything happen. I remember, like a year into his fucking term, finally a mother stood up and said, you know, this horrible drug war is having this awful toll, especially on the black community, and wouldn't it be a good thing if we could just legalize cannabis so that so many young people's lives aren't destroyed by this? And he looked at her and laughed in her face and said, I don't think legalization of marijuana is the answer to all our problems. You know?
No, I understand. I'm not an expert on him, but I'm not defending him on everything. And so it seems like on this topic we do have a disagreement. Now, I know you've kept me on for a long time, so I don't want you to think I'm just going to take over and all that. Do you want to get to other subjects, or do you want to? I don't know if you want to give me more time then.
I got another caller. No caller.
Okay. No, I understand.
Oh, we do have another caller.
Okay, no, I want to. So you know what? No problem. You were very nice to me. You gave me time. I really appreciate it. I think what you're doing is a great thing to give people time like this to go over subjects. I love that. Even though we have a disagreement on a few things, I don't think we're too far apart. Then I wish in the future that you can let me go on for different subjects also.
The thing is, the reason this is so important to me is because I think what has to happen is that the people need to recognize who the real evil is. And the only real threat to our own personal freedom is the people in Congress, is the people in our local state governments. They're the only, not Russia, not China, not Iran, all these people we're going to spend trillions of dollars defending ourselves against. They're not a threat to any of our freedom. But the people in fucking Washington, D.C. are, and it's the people on the left and the people on the right. And if we can recognize that as a whole, as Americans, who the real enemy is to our own personal freedom, then maybe we could come together and defeat that enemy and make something better happen. Otherwise,
Now,
and that's why I
before
speak.
I go-
That's the why I speak the way I do about both sides. Is because we have to defeat this enemy. If we don't, someone else will come along and do it because they feel they have no other choice in the world.
No, you're right, Mox Steve. I just don't believe. I honestly don't believe that if you had a choice, if you could snap your fingers and you could have someone in power for 20 years, where it was everyone would accept it. If you could have someone on the left versus someone on the right, like for example, someone who was like whatever, Barack Obama versus Donald Trump, I just don't think you would prefer the one on the right, or that you would think, they're both the same, it doesn't matter which one does. I think you would go on the left. Maybe I'm wrong. Would you pick the one on the left then?
I just see left and right as fake. I see those as fake things that aren't actually real. It's like somehow you just said that Donald Trump is a conservative, right? And you just said that Barack Obama is this crazy liberal. That's not fucking true. You know, if it was true, and Barack Obama said, when that mother stood up and said, can't we do something to help the black children? And Barack Obama, instead of laughing in her face, said, you're absolutely goddamn right. I'm going to my desk right now to sign an executive order to say nobody's going to get in trouble for marijuana ever again.
You're right. Yeah, no,
Okay.
and I know you already.
And there's nothing I would rather see than have somebody like that we could all turn to and say, okay, we actually have somebody on our side. I don't see that. I see these fake people. I see these fake people doing this fucking theater, for suckers, and it's sad.
The only reason I asked you again was because it just, based on what I'm getting from your phone call and what I've known about, whatever I learned about your videos in the past, I don't know you personally, obviously, but whatever I picked up from you, I just honestly don't think that you'd be more happy, content Donald Trump, Barack Obama, same thing, whatever. I think you do recognize one is more ridiculous than the other. You wouldn't be more happy with Donald Trump over Barack Obama.
If you had asked me before Barack Obama had 8 years in president, right? Who would you rather see? This young, fucking, full of energy, fucking liberal who's got the support of the whole world behind him, or Donald Trump? I'd be like, I want the guy with the whole world support who's gonna fucking give us change and hope again. I want that guy. Of course I want that guy. But after 8 years of what he gave us, there's no way I would choose him over Donald Trump. But I wouldn't choose Donald Trump either. I couldn't. It's like having to choose between Donald Trump and Joe Biden to put in the most important job in the world. That makes me want to vomit until I die.
By the way, when I compared Donald Trump to Barack Obama, the only reason I did that was just to give you a random example. My point basically is whoever you consider on the far left versus, well, not far left, whoever you consider popular on the left versus popular on the right, then I just don't think you'd be more fine with someone on the right then, or that you would think they're both the same then. I think you would prefer the one on the left. You would recognize there's a difference between them, and that's my point. One is worse than the other. Republicans are worse than Democrats then. But if you disagree, I totally get that. I know you have other callers.
Yeah,
so
I just see it again as when it comes to the people going into the street, which Barack Obama said, if the people go into the street, I will be there standing shoulder to shoulder with you. And what he did when the people went into the street under the name of Occupy, he fucking labeled them potential terrorists and sent in the police to bloody their fucking skulls. Okay? And that's and I'm just tired, and it doesn't matter if it's on the left or the right. That's the same answer we get every time when the people go into the street, and I'm tired of it.
You know what? One thing to do is be independent. Don't vote for any of these parties. Don't give them your money. Don't chain yourself to them and act like one is always going to be better than the other.
Right.
Basically, go for some new person, some independent, or just don't vote at all. I hate this electoral college, Mox News. I really hate this ridiculous system. I can't believe in America they still don't even count everyone's vote by this electoral college then. Why don't they just go by the popular vote?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, but Mox News, before I go, you can say no. There's no hard feelings. I'm not going to take this as negative. Do you mind if I plug my page? If you say no,
Was Universal Galaxy, is that what it was?
Well, that was I have more than one. That's my most popular one, but the one I want to plug is a different one. So you can do that one too. That's fine. But you mind if I do it?
We just did it.
No, it's not that one. It's the one I want to go by is Michael Jordan fans are the worst NBA fans, and that's another page I'm trying to plug.
Okay.
If anybody disagrees with me, you're welcome to go on my podcast, and
Okay.
including you, Mox News. I'd love to have you on if you ever want to go on.
Okay.
But if you don't want to, it's fine.
Okay. Right on. Well, it's good to
Thank you
hear
very
from
much,
you.
man.
It's good. I hope you call back again sometime soon.
I will. Thank you very much. You were very nice. You were very nice. Stay safe. Happy New Year, man.
All right. Stay cool.
Thank you. You too.
Okay, so Michael from the landlord from Southern California wanted to debate that gentleman, but not knowing the caller, wanted to debate him myself because it's really my opinion that I wanted to get out for if it was me, because he wanted my opinion, so I didn't want to interject someone else's. He wanted to understand where I was coming from. Hello, caller.
Hi, Mike. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing okay. How about you?
I'm doing all right. First, I got to say, I was never more proud of America than on January 6th, than in a long time. It's been a long time since I've been that proud of this country.
Yeah, I thought it was a beautiful thing.
It was beautiful. It made me feel. I really felt good that day. And just like your last caller saying that one's worse than the other, they're both enemies. Like the news agencies, Fox News, they're enemies of the people. MSNBC, they're enemies. They're all enemies of the people.
Yeah.
For agendas.
They're there to They're there to misinform us.
Yeah, and they want to like call all those people terrorists now, and they want to go after the people that were responsible. Well, the people that were responsible for that is every single legislator that we have right now.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Right.
Whether it be Nancy Pelosi or Ted Cruz or Matt Gaetz, all of them are traitors to the American people. All of them sold their soul out for money.
It's so mind-boggling to me to listen to the media and to listen to the politicians, and they act like the only person who has any responsibility for people wanting to attack the Capitol is Donald Trump. You know, it's like those people those people who work in those buildings never did anything wrong that might upset the people. It's mind-blowing.
Those were patriots, and they were mad patriots.
I don't like that.
Said,
I don't throw that word around a whole lot, But I especially find it strange when people refer to themselves at it, which I saw a lot of those people doing. But I think that the founding fathers would have been proud by their actions. Again, this country was founded on an act of sedition, of throwing off an authoritarian government that they were just tired of being under their thumb, and that's basically where the people are at, the way I see it now.
Well, and the news media pushed them towards that. Like, they had whipped them so much. If you were, it's like, if you're on the right, the news media, literally tells you that you've lost your country and there's no getting it back. You're completely off the edge.
Yeah.
And if you're off left, it's the same thing, except Donald Trump is, Hitler, and you've lost your country.
Either way, it's a dark day in America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they, that's the funny thing. Like, you'll see people comment online, and then you'll kind of talk to people, too. If you take the farthest leftist person and you take the farthest rightist person, they're the same person. They just have the names flipped. Like they'll be blaming Donald Trump for everything that everybody on the right will be like, oh, no, it's the left. It's, they're doing that. But they're mad at the same stuff.
I don't know. I'm not sure how far right or left I am. I would probably consider myself more left, because although I don't, if it comes to actual politics, I see them exactly the same. So it's really hard to identify that way, because
I don't really know where I fall on the scale either. I think I'm outside of the scale.
Yeah,
freedom now.
I would love to say, I'm super fucking as liberal as it gets, and I have said that many times. I'm as liberal as it gets, just like the founding fathers, just like Jesus. okay? Because those motherfuckers were as liberal as it gets, because they fought for freedom. They fought for this ideal, that's of, we can, we have the power and the people, and, it's, I don't know. That's, to me, is very liberal. That's very liberal, Go ahead.
I think that's what we really need to strip ourselves of.
Yeah.
Is this,
I agree. I agree.
To, balancing scale thing. We need to be like, look, whatever you want to call it.
Americans.
I want freedom.
Americans. We call it Americans. It's what I do when the people go into the street. It's like, oh, can you imagine these all summer long? It was like these liberals, and then like the guys took over the Capitol in Michigan. I don't know if you remember that, or Wisconsin, Michigan. It was Michigan, and everybody's like, one of the callers called up and says, oh, now these Republican protesters in Michigan. I go, whoa. Now, what makes them Republican exactly? And there wasn't like this answer, all I see is Americans, All summer long it was the BLM protesters. I don't even think that's a really good definition, because the people that were protesting in Portland, where a lot of our focus was all summer long, they didn't identify, and in Seattle, they didn't really identify as BLM.
Yeah. Well, and in all honesty, like they say there was Antifa and BLM there.
Yeah.
I think there might have been.
Yeah.
But I don't think they were really there as BLM or Antifa. I think they got there and they were like, you know what? Yeah. And they were just
fuck yeah,
part of it.
It's a party.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't think, I really wish, the reason why those two groups can't come together is because of the media. That's the only reason. Like the Patriots, I mean, I consider myself a patriot, but I don't want police brutality. You know what I mean? That's disgusting. I mean, you want to defund the police? Okay. I don't want to, let's go back to Barney Fife. I don't want to.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
To have
one bullet.
Tiny
I like that idea. I like that idea. One bullet, and you don't get to keep it in the gun. I love that idea.
But you know what I mean? I don't want these little towns in rural America or whatever having SWAT teams where they can just go bust down your door without a warrant.
That's real terrorism right there.
Do I want to be able to maybe call 911 if someone's breaking in my house? Yeah. So, you know what I mean? But I don't want
But you also need to understand. You also need to understand that when you call 911, the police are minutes away, if you're lucky, when seconds count. So you better be ready.
Well, I live in Indiana, so I've got my firearms. So,
yeah.
But yeah, it's nice to. But really all you need is an EMS and the fire department. I'd rather have just an EMS and fire department than, an abundance of police. But those groups can totally come together. It's just like when...
Well, I think you have to look at defund... I think you have to look at defund the police properly. And if you and it's easy to do if you simply come to the realization that the drug war is a complete and utter failure. And that there's all this bazillion dollars spent on the drug war every year, year after fucking year. And if we just end the drug war, end the black market, let people go to the fucking corner fucking party store and get their goddamn cocaine, as opposed to, take out all this crime element. If you take out all that crime element, if you end the drug war and you have the party store in every corner, you're gonna end 80% of crime. Right? So, yeah, we can defund the police by 50% if we end 80% of crime. It's not a problem.
Yeah, and you don't have to redistribute our military. Stop spending so much money on our military so it doesn't trickle down to the police.
Yeah.
Because we've overspent and have all kinds of these, here's tanks. You want a tank?
Right.
Yeah, stop spending so much money on our military.
We have to have...
The governments are the only ones on the planet that make people kill people. Honestly,
right? We have to
have a problem with any kind of Russians or Chinese or, I work for a global company. I work with all these people.
Yeah,
they're great.
Yeah,
Nobody wants to kill anybody. The government's the only people that want to kill people.
Yeah, that's the way I see it too. I think again, we have to recognize the real threat to our personal freedom, and it's this horrible government, and it doesn't matter if they're on the left or on the right. They're passing 40,000 laws a year that criminalize the fuck out of you just living your daily life. And like you're saying, I just want to do business with the world. That's what China wants. That's what Russia wants. They just want to do business. They just want to make money. They just want to open everything up, and there's no reason to be spending all these precious resources on this never-ending war machine, which you have to fucking use. Otherwise, you get this buildup of these fucking bombs and shit, and then you're like, oh well, we have too many bombs. So then you have to shut off your war machine, and nobody wants that, which is unfortunate. It'd be real nice to hear somebody talking about peace, creating peace in the world. Why is no one in leadership talking about creating peace in the world? I'd really like to know.
Yeah, because it's not profitable.
Yeah,
sometimes
exactly.
we got to figure out how to make, peace profitable. We got, I don't know.
We just got to get rid of these dirty people who only care about money, We have to recognize the enemy, and then have priorities. See, the people of America, the people of the world, where we're at now, we can come together. We just have to recognize what's keeping, because it's not just that they're holding us back like in the 1950s or something. What these evil powers that be, like the people who are in Congress, what they're doing, they're not just holding us back to this 1950s mentality. What they're doing is they're holding back our entire species from our next evolution. And the reason that freedom is so important is because the only way this species can evolve to its maximum is if we're free as possible to be able to make anything happen that we can make happen. And we've been so limited for so many generations by the evil corporations and the powers that be that it's bizarro that we just stay trapped in this a super negative reality where war is peace or whatever.
I think also we just kind of need to slow down a little bit, because it seems like they're pushing us along in this hyper fast life where we need to slow down a little bit, start growing our own food, go back to making our core family strong.
I would recommend you start with growing your own weed. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, if you can grow your own weed and it comes to this point where you need to be able to grow your own food, that won't be a problem. But if you can grow your own weed and you're good at it, you won't ever have a problem trading for whatever it is you need.
That is true.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like if you look at it, they systematically destroyed us for years. Destroyed the family. They put us. It's horrible what they've done to the American people.
And it's by design. It's like you said, systematic. Yeah. It's by design. They want us. And this is why I blame the right and the left so hard. There isn't a good side because they want it this way. They've done this to us out of an evil plan that they have to hold us down and not let this species evolve. And it's disgusting.
No, they've held both the left and the right. They've held hands down this long road to destroy this country.
Absolutely.
For a long time. The left wing and the right wing still attached to the same bird.
Yeah. No matter which head you feed, it still shits the same turd. All right, bro. What's your name? Hello? I'm not sure what happened. I seem to have lost you. All right, I'm going to hang up. Nice to hear from you. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
All right, call back soon. Stay cool.
Yep,
we'll get through it. All right, so that was nice. I didn't catch his name, but that was nice. All right, so you got another caller? Is that what you're saying? All right, go ahead. And again, I think the best thing that Donald Trump could do right now to irritate the mainstream voice, the Democrats and the Republicans, all the media, the most over the top, the main thing, like beyond anything that Donald Trump has irritated, if he was just to pass a blanket pardon for all the people who participated in the occupation of Capitol Hill, that would just drive everyone insane. Go ahead. Hello, caller.
Hi,
Hi.
my name is Laura.
Hi, Laura. How are you tonight?
Pretty shitty, really.
I'm sorry to hear that. Thanks very much for calling. It's nice to hear from you. Go ahead.
Yeah. I think we're in a world of hurt.
You think that's a new thing? You think that's a new thing?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be ramped up massively.
What is going to be ramped up? The police state?
Well,
The police state?
look at how quick the censorship of all Republicans happened. I mean, it was just boom, 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 boom.
It's not just Republicans, but yeah.
They want everyone to just shut up. They don't want anybody to be able to talk to anybody, communicate. They're shutting it down.
Right.
Does
Speeches.
that sound like America?
No, and that's what I'm saying. I see it on both the right and the left. I don't see. I mean, it seems to me that the right is just as fast to call these people domestic terrorists as the left. So there's no difference.
Absolutely.
And they want to. They're happy Donald Trump's getting shut down. As far as I can tell, everybody on the right, as far as the professional politician class, is very happy Donald Trump is getting shut down.
Yeah, I was listening to Tracy Beans. I think she posted her video like on the 8th or 9th. I don't know, this is the last video she did. It was a brain strain to get 10 Republicans that were standing by Trump. Honestly, there's none.
It's horrible. I think he made a huge mistake acting like somehow someone in the professional political class like Chris Christie or someone like that might actually be on his side. Chris Christie's only on the side that's best for Chris Christie, and supporting Donald Trump right now isn't what's best for Chris Christie,
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm concerned with Biden getting into office when his first topic of business is getting rid of guns.
His first topic is going to be forced vaccinations for everyone, but, go ahead.
Oh, God. Okay, well, 1 and 2. Both of them are, the first vaccinations are going to be the worst. Well, I don't know which one will be worse.
They can't take away her. Look, the thing about the guns is Laura, right? The thing about the guns is that we heard the same thing under Barack Obama and Joe Biden when they held the White House for 8 years, and they had both the control of the House of Representatives and the Senate, and absolutely zero was done when it came to fucking with the Second Amendment. So I wouldn't worry about it all that much, though.
Okay, well, listen, I read his website, and it says, okay, so what they want to do is pretty much tax gun owners, and it doesn't really clarify if it's going to be a yearly, but if you have a mag over 15, it's going to be $1,000, they don't say $1,000 a year or
Laura. Okay, so you saw what happened on the 6th, right? When everybody took over the Capitol, and you understand that was without them trying to take away their guns. You understand if they actually try and do something like that was going to happen. And people say, oh, well, you can't get past the National Guard. This group that took over the Capitol was a very small group of what I consider to be very peaceful people. When you start trying to take away their guns, that shit ends. And it's not going to be a very small group, and they're not going to be very peaceful. So we're clear.
Well, okay, you saw the videos, right? I mean, the police let them in. The police, hey, come on in. Oh, I'm gonna fight you back. I'm gonna chase you out. You're chasing me. Oh, hey, that was weird. Come on, man. The whole thing was a fucking setup.
Of course it was, because, and you know how you can tell that it was, not so much from those videos, but by the response from the powers that be. The powers that be said, oh, we had no idea this was going to happen. And for weeks and weeks and weeks on this television, on this YouTube show, we've been talking about exactly this thing going to happen. Not so much that they're going to take, no one could imagine that they would actually overtake the House of Representatives and occupy it. But it was a beautiful thing that they did. But the chatter was that for months before it happened. So the FBI and the CIA and all those fucking Department of Homeland Security cunts know everything that happens online. So it's not like they didn't know it was going to go down. You're right. They acted as if they weren't prepared at all for something they knew was going to be a big event. And that is very, very suspicious.
Well, now listen to this one. How about when the, whatever, I don't know, House, Senate, whatever, where the whole thing was going down, they said, everybody grab your gas masks from under your seat. What, do they always have gas masks under their seat?
Yeah.
Because they knew that pepper spray was going to be fucking sprayed?
Well, no, they have gas masks because these are the people that are saying that we have zero responsibility, and the only reason that the protesters occupied the House or attacked the House of Representatives is because of Donald Trump. The reason that they have gas masks under their seats is because they know that they are hated and despised by the people of these United States, and they know that they are not doing the people's business. They know that they are not representing anyone in the working class, and that means they know that they could come under some kind of attack at any given time. And the idea being that even a small chemical attack could be incredibly dangerous. So yeah, it only cost a few dollars to make this happen. So yeah, we have these under the seats. Everybody has that. Yeah, they're prepared for that. Because they're evil doers, and evil doers have evil coming their way. Yes, they do always have those under their seats.
Oh, they do?
Yes.
All right. Well, the first vaccination, I think, is just... Do you believe that Pence got the vaccine first?
I don't believe that any of the public officials... I don't believe anything that any of the public officials are saying, I mean, it's easy to...
Me neither.
Yeah, it's easy to fake that. And in my opinion, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor, but in my opinion, this is something that has not been tested properly. And my dentist called me 2 days ago to say, I want to make sure you know not to get the vaccine. Okay, so
Really?
Yeah. So that's where
there's a website called knowtherisk.com.
Yeah.
And it goes through the whole, every single vaccine, of course, except COVID. But it tells you exactly what's in those vaccines. And I've told people for years what's in them. Oh, nobody believes me. And let me tell you what, I zipped out a bunch of copies, gave it to my coworkers. You think any of these fucking morons cared that there was baby parts? Aborted babies in the vaccines.
Okay, but look, you have to understand, it's not that they don't care. It's just that they're very busy people with very busy lives, and to actually to actually care about these things. It's like when 9/11 happened, and the buildings fell directly down into their own footprint. Any critical thinking person went, well, that's not right.
Right.
Yeah. So, but at the same time, if you try and have a discussion with somebody who has a busy life, and and try and explain to them, the laws of gravity and such, that they just kind of are like, yeah, this is too much. I can't deal with this. So good luck with that. They tune out or whatever.
Well, let me tell you about my 9/11. So I didn't see anything until I got done with work. I was self-employed. and I got home. I didn't know how to run the satellite. I was living with this guy, and he was off in Canada. He was fucking in Canada for 2 weeks, so he didn't know anything until 2 weeks later. But anyhow, so I go down to the bar, the local bar in the area, and so I had heard, oh, the towers collapsed. I'm thinking, well, they must have, just torpedoed and fell down and, fell over.
Right.
Fell over. I mean,
Right.
you can't collapse on yourself.
Oh, yeah, a building, concrete just doesn't all of a sudden pulverize into a puff of dust.
I know.
Yeah.
I was looking at this, and I'm at the freaking VFW, man.
Yeah.
None of those people got it. I'm like, what? There was one man that I talked to. He said, yeah, this is a bunch of bullshit. And I said, you're fucking right, it is. There's no way that this shit happened like this.
Yeah.
And I found it funny because Rosie O'Donnell back then came out and said, this is bullshit.
Right.
There's no way this crap happened. But then now look at her now. She's all freaking pro-communist bullshit.
I don't know. I don't really know what her politics are. I just, it's people who speak out, who are public figures, and they speak out about 9/11, tend to have extremely negative consequences happen to them. So, it's like speaking out about the Gaza or the Palestinians. So
hey, let me just ask you: do you think Trump was really a Republican?
I don't
or did
think
he just go under that ticket?
That's what worked for him. Again, it's none of these people are fucking true conservatives. None of them are true liberals. It's just that this is what works for the audience that they're trying to appeal to. So they play the theater of I'm a conservative.
You think he was a fraud?
Of course.
You think he was a total sham like the rest of them, like Bush, like Obama?
Pretty much. I see him as he just gave Israel everything he could. He sold as many weapons around the world as he could. He didn't spread the war the way those guys did. But at the same time, he bolstered the military as much as he possibly could and did lots and lots of saber rattling, keeping the public very, very nervous at times. But I think, of course, he's a fraud. This is Donald Trump we're talking about. He bankrupt a casino, okay? It takes a special kind of person to bankrupt a fucking casino, dude. Especially when your dad is bringing you $500,000 a week in cash to keep your fucking casino running. It's
Well, I'm not up on the casino thing. I don't know. A lot of businesses, going bankruptcy. I don't know.
Well, Donald Trump, I just don't see a genuine person. But it's not that Donald Trump in particular. It's like you look at Donald Trump and you look at Joe Biden, right? And you think this is the best America has to offer for the most important job in the world, And the idea of that makes me sick to my stomach, at the very least.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I'm at work, not right now, but when I'm at work and stuff, and I just break out in tears.
You know what?
I think everything's just falling apart.
It's not. Look, it's not. It's not. Everything is not falling apart. This is the way it's been for a long time. Okay, and I know that it's easy to get caught up in this moment, and the media is hyping at the fear at this level that we not used to with the we're all gonna die from the COVID-19, and the protesters are terrorists, and the protesters are everywhere, and they're gonna burn everything down. this isn't something new. It's just them doing as much everything they can to hype the fear. And the one message that I have, that's the most important message that I've said from the beginning and every day since, is don't buy into the fear. Okay, because we're going to get through this. We're much stronger, and they've been telling us like people are like, oh, the economy's going to collapse, and I'm like, okay, so listen, here's the deal. From September 12th, 2001, I've heard, oh, we're totally fucked, and the dollar's going to collapse, and we're all going to be blah blah blah, and that's not. I mean, and every day it was that way, and again, it's just this hyped up fear that it's just best not to buy into because very difficult to make a wise decision moving from a standpoint of fear.
Well, I mean, look at the economy. Our country has been shut down for almost a year. We're fucked. The banks are collapsing. The mortgages are collapsing. Renters can't pay their rent. Nobody has a job. Thank God I have. And guess what? I work at the biggest hospital in America. And I can't tell you where it's at.
Oh, well.
But it's the largest hospital in America.
Should be easy to look up.
What?
I said it should be easy to look up, I mean, it's not like you have to tell us where it's at, so.
Well, it's in Rochester, Minnesota, the Mighty Mayo Clinic.
All right. Well, so look. All I'm saying is, don't buy into the fear. Okay, we're strong. We get through. We always get through the shit. We always do, and it's not like we don't come out just fine. So just stay strong, and we'll get through it. Stay cool.
What do you think about the vaccine, though?
The vaccine is not properly. The vaccine is not properly tested, and it's probably best to wait a little while before to see what the actual results of the vaccine are before you rush to get. In my own personal opinion, not being a scientist or a doctor.
But Biden comes out and says you must get the vaccine. What are you gonna do?
I have allergic reaction. I have allergy to penicillin, and I've been told that if you have allergic reactions to medicines, that you probably should not get the vaccine. So I'm not going to get the vaccine.
Well, what do I do?
Well,
I have allergic reaction to bee stings.
Well, there you go. Look at there's if you have allergies, they've said to stay away from the vaccine. So just use that as a thing. I have allergies, and I'm afraid that I'll have a reaction, and I would rather someone else get, someone else who's desperate to get the vaccine because they're so afraid. Go ahead and get it before me, and maybe a year from now or something. When we know that we're not getting a bunch of allergic reactions, I might feel more secure about getting the vaccine then.
Hey, let me give you another heads up about the hospitals. They are the dirtiest freaking places.
Well, they have the worst germs, that's for sure.
Oh, God. There's nobody walking around cleaning stuff at all. Nobody cleaning. I mean, maybe at night when nobody's around, they clean, but no. There's 0 people in the daytime. Nobody.
That's weird.
There's door handles that are just fucking nasty as hell.
Yeah, it sounds nasty.
Yeah, nobody cares. It's like, yeah, whatever. We're just going to wear this stupid mask for the rest of our lives. And, cough and fart and, nobody cares. I mean, it's just a joke. It's such a joke.
Look, I don't think that nobody cares. We just saw people, bust through to take over the occupy the House of Representatives.
Well, no, I'm talking about
care.
The COVID in the hospital.
Yeah, well, look, the
COVID in the hospital. Nobody's cleaning stuff. Nobody.
Yeah. Well, when I talk to the people at the hospital, I talk to the assistants, the doctors' assistants and stuff, and I ask them about it, and they say that they're not having like any kind of outbreak or anything there. So.
No, there isn't. There's nothing up here.
Yeah.
Not up here in Minnesota. You know, granted, I have had a couple of friends die, but they were old and with, health issues.
And people die. That's what they do, It's one of the things you can count on. All right, Laura. Well, look, again, just stay cool. We'll get through it, and understand that we've heard this same fucking hyped up, we're all in shit from 2001, and we have. So understand it's the same hyped up bullshit fear, and we will get through it.
All right, I hope so, man.
Yeah, just stay cool. We can do it.
All right, God bless.
All right, thanks for calling. Call back anytime.
Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. That's Laura from the Mayo Clinic. But shh, can't tell anybody. Shh. All right. So, do you have a caller? Okay, no caller. I'm gonna play a video. I have a video of let's see. Okay, I have a video about Chuck Schumer wanting people who occupied the House of Representatives, people who took over the Capitol, the U.S. Capitol, to be put on a no-fly list. And I want to make real clear, those people are not terrorists. It's something we reserve for terrorists. And those people are not terrorists. They're Americans who, in a proud American tradition, have gone into the street and demanded that their representative government hear their voices. And I'm pretty sure they did. So, again, when you hear someone talking about acts of sedition, that's what this country was founded on. And when you hear someone calling an American protester who didn't set up bombs, who didn't shoot off guns, who didn't set fires, terrorist, remember you're looking at the real enemy. Don't forget.
Developing now, the House of Representatives is beginning debate on a resolution urging Mike Pence to invoke the 25th Amendment to remove President Trump from office. Pence has already said that he won't do that, so House lawmakers will return tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. to begin impeachment proceedings. And tonight, the effort is gaining more support from some Republicans. Representative Liz Cheney, the third highest-ranking GOP member in the House, says she will vote to impeach the president. Representatives John Katko of New York and Adam Kinzinger of Illinois are also backing the effort. The House is charging the president with inciting violence against the government of the United States.
Our nation, our democracy, and our freedom cannot risk another day of the Trump presidency.
President Trump continues to defend his action on January 6th. Be sure to tune in to Como Morning News at 6 a.m. tomorrow for all the breaking updates in Washington, D.C.
And President Trump is back at the White House tonight, hours after making his first public appearance since last Wednesday's attack on the Capitol. He visited Alamo, Texas, to celebrate his administration's success in building the border wall. He also addressed the effort in Congress to remove him from office.
The 25th Amendment is of zero risk to me, but will come back to haunt Joe Biden and the Biden administration. As the expression goes, be careful what you wish for.
The president condemned last week's violence at the Capitol and did not take any responsibility. He called his speech, which many believe incited the violence, quote, totally appropriate.
As investigations continue into the siege on the Capitol, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer has urged the FBI to put anyone who breached the building onto the government's no-fly list.
And so he today, ahead of the concern for possible future attacks, and with the law on our side, we are to say that these insurrectionists, many of whom are known to be at large, should not be able to hop on a flight.
The no-fly list bans anyone from boarding a commercial flight who may pose a threat to civil aviation or national security. Schumer calls people who took part in the Capitol attack domestic terrorists.
That guy, Chuck Schumer, and all his co-workers and their militarized police state, they are the only real threat to your freedom. So when you see somebody talking about putting people, demanding that we put people on the no-fly list, you know that motherfucker is a danger to all of us. Okay? You know, we don't need a no-fly list. We have a list of people that are terrorists. And when they show up, you know, boom. We don't need a fucking no-fly list. Some fucking bullshit that they use to punish political entities. Guaranteed. Hello, caller.
Hello.
What's happening?
Hey, man. Yeah, I agree.
I agree. You agree?
I agree that Donald Trump is the leader of Al Qaeda, and we should hunt him down. And Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, I hear they're getting married. They're marrying each other really soon. And all the Republicans are terrorists, and all the Democrats are good guys. And we should just all get a vaccine. And there are no conspiracies.
You think that's what I've been saying?
No, man. No. But I took off when that Indian guy was talking, and man, this guy is that guy, whatever his name was, is like a child. I mean, now,
look, the people are desperate for someone to be on their side, to be able to look at someone and go, okay, that guy's one of the good guys. Okay, finally, right. I got one. They need that so badly, and to not have that, the option of saying that doesn't exist, is really a blow to the gut, man. It's a big old fucking punch right to the fucking gut, and a lot of people aren't prepared for that.
Well, you know, I can understand. You know, I'm a registered Democrat, right? I voted for Obama twice, and then I voted for Trump. And I didn't vote this last time because I was too busy trimming weed. But if you notice that when Bush took us into that fake war to kill that guy, Saddam Hussein...
That's not why he took us into the war. He took us into the war to make rich pieces of shit like Dick Cheney even more rich.
Yeah, I agree. So when he took us into the war, despite the fact that we had millions of people in the streets protesting, we also had almost every Democratic senator voting for the war because apparently the media affects politicians just as much as it affects the plumber and the street sweeper and the ditch digger and the lawyer. You know, the real enemy is the weaponized media. Right now we have saturation propaganda going on, and Donald Trump is the bad guy. He's the leader of Al Qaeda, and he tried to overthrow the United States, and we should arrest all these people because they're going to put bombs on planes, and they're all terrorists, and now we know who the bad guys are, so let's go. America, America, yeah, hell yeah! It's like, fuck, how simplistic does your thinking have to get? Some people went to the Capitol building, and they acted out, and that was one incident amongst hundreds of incidents that went on this year of equal destruction. But now, you know, I just don't fall for the right-left propaganda. I just want people to know, if you don't know, you must be living on another planet. Facebook lost, what, $6 billion today. Twitter.
Bitcoin lost 200 billion yesterday.
Who did?
Bitcoin.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
These are not good signs, man. These are not good signs.
Yeah, Twitter. How much did Twitter lose?
Shitload. I forget the exact number, but it was more than Facebook. I think close to 100 billion.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how they do that, but fuck, that's like 100 billion.
The stock goes down, and so the company's worth this much less.
Yeah. So look what happened. Twitter, Facebook, Google all push the government to. You know, they banned Trump. They banned free speech. They banned all the bad guys on the right, and now their stock goes down. It's like, wow, some people must be really anticipating calamity, change. The pendulum might start to swing the other way, like maybe towards free speech and open dialogue and a marketplace of ideas, rather than just saying Trump is bad, Democrats are good, the Republicans tried to kill America, now we stopped them, now Joe Biden's here, everything's going to be groovy, just take your medicine, and there's no such thing as conspiracy theories. It's like, what the fuck?
Right. Go ahead.
They blew up the towers in New York 20 years ago, and not one peep out of any senator, any governor, anybody, any president. It's like, oh, you guys are all conspiracy theorists.
Well,
if they could do that.
Well, Ron Paul made a speech called "What If," and one of the beginning lines of his speech was, "What if the government's lying to you about 9/11?" So
good, because I know the science of both steel frame buildings, and as a layman, I know the science of vaccines, and in particular COVID-19. And these are mRNA, messenger RNA vaccines. They make you more susceptible to disease, sickness, and death when the person who gets vaccinated runs into what they call the wild virus, or any wild virus for that matter. These are not good vaccines. Like you said before, there has not been sufficient testing. There's never been an mRNA vaccine ever in history. No wonder they pushed it through. All they did was pour billions of dollars into the big pharma to develop a bunch of stuff, and they just hurried and made a bunch of vaccines, and now we're just supposed to say, oh, yes, Mr. Doctor in the white coat, just inject me with your gobbledygook, and I can fly on an airplane. This is the Great Reset, people. What happened in Washington, I would not have personally gone through the doors, but they did. So that's just the way it is. And now they're the bad guys. I mean, the people that went through the doors and the people that were there in general are the bad guys, because they were trying to call attention to something that's not a conspiracy theory. Mr. Man from Indian descent, whoever you are, I didn't get your name. It's not a conspiracy theory that the election was stolen. There's mountains and valleys full of evidence that the election was definitely stolen. I mean, there's information coming out of Italy right now about the Italian security services knowing that the election was stolen. So, I mean, everyone knows the election was stolen, but you can't say that.
Yeah, there's even more to it than that. I mean, the banning of social media and news media from discussing Hunter Biden's laptop or whatever, and all this other information. It's as if there definitely was not an honest election.
Yeah, I mean, the Biden crime family has been in bed with Chinese companies for many, many years, and they received $400 million in October 2020, right before the election, and you can't say that. I mean, Donald Trump should have pulled in his debate with Biden, he should have pulled all that stuff right out of his hat and pulled a Hillary Clinton. Remember when he told Hillary, yeah, if I was, you'd be in jail? That's the kind of talk that got him elected.
Right.
Was that kind of straight talk, but he didn't do it. Something wrong with Donald Trump's brain, and I can tell you exactly what it is. When you have narcissistic personality disorder, it's more important for you to be liked and admired than it is to actually than anything else. That's called narcissistic supply. So it's not that Donald Trump isn't trying to do his little song and dance about being a true American. He is doing his song and dance. He does care about the country, but he's coming at the whole drain the swamp thing with a deficit, and that deficit is called narcissistic personality disorder. Sometimes it works in his favor, like with Hillary Clinton in 2016, it worked in his favor, but in the debate with Joe Biden, he should, I mean, just speak the truth, no matter where you are. I know it would have made the headlines, and I know that it would have been rude, and I know he would have hurt Joe Biden's feelings, and everybody who likes the Democrats would have, jumped up and down with spears and torches and pitchforks, but that's what he should have done. He should have hammered Joe Biden, and you're not, you notice that the news cycle about Hunter Biden and Joe Biden disappeared because of this, they broke through the doors of the People's House on the 6th of this month, which is almost a week ago. So, the news cycle is part of the propaganda and part of the mind control program, and we are in saturation propaganda right now. They're going to arrest people who were there because they might be putting bombs on planes. I mean, how stupid do you have to be to fall for that propaganda? It's propaganda. So I'm pretty pissed off. But I think the only way to, since we're such small people, we're private human beings. We don't hold public jobs. We don't have to.
Not me. I'm a motherfucking golden god. Don't forget it.
Well, jump off the roof, motherfucker. But, if I was a senator or a congressman or the president, I would be speaking truth to the swamp, to power, to corruption all the fucking time. All the time. I would have a take no prisoners, and I'll try to be your friend and build allies, all at the same time. Trump kind of screwed up. He could have won. I mean, he did win the election, but he could have exposed the Biden corruption before the vote. I don't know why he didn't do that. Now he's apparently the leader of Al-Qaeda, and so is the horned shaman from wherever the fuck he's from.
I heard he was from The Simpsons.
Where? Oh, I saw that. Yeah, that's the predictive programming. I don't even watch The Simpsons, but I did see that cartoon of a horned guy that they put out. I don't know when they put it out, but it's kind of screwy, man. That people don't realize that the real enemy is the government. And that big tech actually right now is running the government. Google is running the government. Facebook is running the government. Twitter shuts the president down and eliminates his account. It's like, what the hell? I thought that we had, like First Amendment rights. And as far as Trump, I saw his speech. He didn't incite any riot. People got out of hand. And I think the Capitol Police fucked up. They should have had more police there. I think that was a false flag event. Let them in the halls. Let them tear some shit up. Shoot one girl in the neck. And now they're all bombing planes. And they're all dangerous. And just another excuse to clamp down on our freedoms. The media is the enemy. The media is the enemy. So I might,
the media and look at it's all the pillars of the community, dude. It's the media, it's the politicians, it's the police, it's the for-profit medical industrial complex. It just goes, it's just. We have to recognize it's not just this one thing. The media is a serious problem, and it probably needs to be somehow broken up. Like Disney owns way too much of it or something. But
it should be a public utility.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it should be. And I don't know much about the stock market and why Twitter would lose $100 billion and Facebook would lose $6 billion, and I don't know shit about Bitcoin, so I won't even talk about that. But my guess is that people realized that the media had gone so far overboard that there's going to be a backlash against them, and it's at an all-time high, and you better sell right now. And that's what happened. That's my guess. It might be wrong. It might be right. I don't know, because I'm not a stock market
Well, I don't
expert.
think necessarily that it's just that. It's that it's that I don't want to be. I don't want anything to do with this company who acts like they have permission to censor the most powerful free leader of the world. You know.
Well, people who buy and sell and trade stocks, they go on futures. You know, what's happening right now that's going to affect the value of my product, and that product happens to be social media. And I think that they said, oh, they went so fucking far. People are just going to leave Twitter and Facebook in droves, which is what's happening. They shut Parler down. And, you know, Jeff Bezos, he had a $600 million CIA contract that we know of. And you think the CIA wasn't involved in shutting down Parler? I mean, they violated... you got RICO laws, you got...
Yeah, there's some fucked up
laws.
shit going on there for sure. You know, acting like they don't have the responsibility to provide these people access to servers. I don't like any of this censorship stuff on the individual, and then they do this whole group, you know, the Parler thing. Again, it shows clearly who the enemy is. And this is what I was saying the other day about, you know, these things that where they're going to crack, you're like, oh, they're going to use this to crack down. This is good, because you see, Twitter goes, oh, we're going to crack down, and they lose $100 billion. This is good.
I agree.
You know,
I agree.
This
it's
is when
people know they went too far.
Yeah, the more they push us, the more we push back. It's always been the way it works.
We don't have viable internet alternatives right now, but you can bet there's people in private rooms trying to dig up strategies and systems to go around Facebook and Twitter and Google and all that. And I've seen people talking about it on YouTube.
Yeah, sure. There's always other options.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little dejected and I'm a little depressed right now, as opposed to last night where I was pretty fucking happy and shit. But
sounds to me like somebody needs to rub their feet in coconut oil.
Something like that. But I just don't want to see people fall for the psyop. Not since the Al-Qaeda, Osama bin Laden bullshit of 2001, 2, and 3 have we seen a psyop, a media blitz, saturation propaganda like this. This is saturation propaganda, and unfortunately, there's a bunch of sheep out there that believe all that stuff. Democrats, Republicans. It's like, man, they all voted for the war. They're all taking your money, and none of them have given you shit since your $1,200 check. And the homeless, you know, the homelessness and the bankruptcies are going to go through the roof very soon, no matter what, whether they give us $2,000 or not. So we're in a world of hurt. America shouldn't be falling for such saturation propaganda and such bullshit. And Trump didn't do anything wrong. He didn't want anybody to break through the doors.
Look, Trump did plenty wrong, but to try and blame Trump for, you know, generations, decades and decades of misrepresentation by an evil fucking doers in Congress as 100% on Trump is just idiotic. You know, I mean, for Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer to stand up there and act like they don't have 1% of responsibility for why people would want to attack the House of Representatives, that's all on Donald Trump, is just plain stupid. And if you buy into it, I mean, I really don't want to look at you people like stupid. You know I don't. I want you to be smart. I want you to be aware. But if you buy into this shit where it's 100% on Donald Trump, you're drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm not calling you stupid, but you're gobbling up, you're gulping down that Kool-Aid.
Yeah. You would think that any senator, Republican or Democrat, would want to ensure not just this last election, but every future election is free from theft, and we want to have fair elections, but we can't even talk about it. And that's how you know somebody's telling the truth, is if they shut down you talking about it, you're right over the target. It's the way this strategy originated was with Israel and Palestine, where you can't talk about Israel. You're an anti-Semite if you talk about the crimes and the genocide of the Israeli
hate
government.
Speech. We don't allow hate speech. Yeah, we get it.
Right, and so the same model of kind of reverse logic is now mainstream. It's like, you can't talk about Trump, you can't talk about a stolen election.
You can't talk about vaccines, you can't talk about the COVID-19.
Yeah, the model originated with the Israel-Palestine conflict, and now it's gone to any subject that our rulers don't want us to talk about. And there will be a pushback, and there will be a pushback where, wow, we have to control the internet, look what happened. So it's not going to get solved within the next 2 years. But after that, I mean, the dialogue is going to go on, and we're going to find more and more information. And meanwhile, people are starving, kids are suffering, women are suffering. If you got a job and you're not affected by the COVID-19 thing, that's good. But half the country is seriously affected. So Donald Trump is not the leader of Al-Qaeda, and these people should be allowed to fly. And I would give them, it's possible for a person to be standing on those steps of that Capitol building and just be swept into the hall by the crowd, and he didn't break any windows, he didn't do anything. So I would call for justice and precision in justice. Don't just paint them all with a big wide brush, because they're not all the same.
I wish Donald Trump would just blanket the lot of them. Pardon the lot of them, dude. Just say anybody involved in the occupation of the House of Representatives and the Senate is pardoned. It gets a full pardon because it's the people's house, and they were simply petitioning their government to demand better representation.
Well, I hope he pardons Julian Assange. I mean, that's.
And Julie, to pardon Julian Assange would be a really beautiful thing, and that's why I don't think it's going to happen. You know. But if he pardoned all the protesters that occupied the House of Representatives, that would be like over the top, just blow everybody's head off. This calling him, that's demanding he resign and all this shit. They would just go, like, it would be insane. I'd love to see it.
Just the fact that a couple of cops can grab you and slap some handcuffs on you and then arrest you for resisting arrest. That's bad enough right there. We don't need more police. We don't need more restrictions, not on our activities, not on our speech. The FBI creates most terrorist events so that they get further funding and they get to be the good guys, or they accomplish a mission.
Well, they can show how important they are by protecting the public.
Right. Now, so please, whoever you are, don't fall for the psyop. The Democrats are just as bad as the Republicans, and none of them are your friends. This is all a psyop, and this is the new way bow down to Ra and Thoth and, Shiva and Krishna and, Kali.
He liked Ganesh. He liked Ganesh. He liked Ganesh.
And Ganesh, yeah. Ganesh will remove all your obstacles. Just pour some milk on his head. It's all. These are the gods of the technocratic era, and we should be moving towards free speech and the Constitution, not who's the bad guy and who's the good guy. Because issue by issue is the way you use logic to determine truth. Issue by issue, not this side and that side. Both sides are wrong, and both sides occasionally are right. It's not R's and the D's. Issue by issue, and this issue, it's going to be what it is. But I'm more concerned with exposing. I guess we lost trying to expose the fraud, but.
It's never too late. That's like saying, we lost trying to expose 9/11. We can't give up on these things, regardless if it doesn't happen for 10 years. It's still important to know the truth.
Yeah, well, people. If you put people under pressure and you make them worried and terrified and afraid, they're just going to go to work, and I better keep my head down, and I better not lose my job, and I hope I got enough money to pay my rent or my mortgage, and I don't want my gas to shut off, and they can do whatever they want in Washington. Just give me my TV and my steel-belted radios and my toaster, and leave me alone in my apartment. It's like we're all at that, except the rebels. We're all at that stage where it's like, God, I just want to pay my fucking bills and fucking, you guys tear each other up in Washington if you want. But what happened was not a terrorist event. It was a social event. People are sick of it. That's the bottom line. People are sick of the lies, and they're sick of the politicians. And Donald Trump, despite the fact that if I wasn't so busy this year, I would have voted for him, he failed the people who did vote for him, because he didn't operate at his full capacity. He should have pulled the Biden card out of his pants and laid it on the table during the debate, and everybody, would be talking about it. But that's one more thing they shut you down on. So now, if you get some people calling up talking about the CCP, that's not bullshit. The CCP is all over Twitter and Google and Facebook and into politics and into American corporatocracy. They own thousands of acres of American industrial land. Many companies. And Trump was trying to shut down Huawei, the Chinese technology company, a year ago. So. This is not some new thing. China is here. Russia's not the enemy. We're the laughing stock of the world right now. America is like, everybody is the laughing stock of the world. And as far as the super infectious COVID-21 killer fucking viruses that fly up your nose, don't worry about it, take your vitamin D, and don't get your vaccine. The vaccine will kill you eventually. It's not a good thing. You might as well shoot motor oil into your veins.
Ooh,
really.
I love motor oil.
Yeah, 30 weight, Michael, 30 weight.
That's the good stuff.
So that's my 2 cents, man. It's like, you're totally right, Michael. Don't buy into the right-left psyop, and look for the truth. And if you think you found the truth, triple check it, and only speak the truth. And stand up. There's a million ways every day the average citizen can stand against tyranny. And unfortunately, right now, a lot of the tyranny is coming from your fellow citizens. It's like, you have to wear a mask, and you have to do this, and you have to do that. And man, the COVID pass, to fly and to travel. I don't want to get a COVID pass to take a bus or a train, and that's what we're looking at.
Passport.
Passport. Yeah, COVID passport.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pharmaceutical tyranny, and it's a psyop, and that's the objective: is to gain control over the world population. There are real conspiracies, and it doesn't take an IQ of 150 to figure them out. So wake up, man. The government's not your friend. The media is definitely your enemy, and you're going to find all the truth within your own heart if you haven't sold out and you're not in fear. All the truths are right there, right in your own heart. Like, I matter, I have God within me, I'm powerful, and no, you don't have the right to hurt me. Those are like the 4 sacred principles of life. You're important, and stand up for the innocent and the weak. So that's all I gotta say, bro. I'll catch you on the other side, eh?
All right, it's good to hear from you. Thanks for calling. Talk to you soon.
Take care.
Yeah. All right, so I have an interview with Dr. Ron Paul, and I think I will play, since Michael from Southern California mentioned the veteran who got shot in the neck by the Capitol Hill police, I will play that video for you because I am not going to let that go. And I don't see anybody talking about it. And I think it's an important story to know about.
We're learning more tonight about a San Diego woman shot and killed Wednesday when, according to authorities, pro-Trump rioters breached the U.S. Capitol building. Capitol Police publicly identified Ashley Babbitt as the woman who was killed. And Babbitt's husband, Aaron, told our sister station his wife was a San Diego native and spent 14 years in the military between the Air Force and the D.C. National Guard. Babbitt said his wife went to Washington, D.C. to take part in Wednesday's protest where she met up with friends. He said he sent her a status check text message about 30 minutes before the shooting and never heard back.
She didn't have any weapons on her, and I don't know why she had to die in the people's house. That's our house. It's everybody's house. It doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican. I don't know why she had to die inside the house. I saw the pictures. I had to see the pictures of my wife dying on the news.
Well, the chief of the Metropolitan Police Department said in a news conference today the woman was shot by one Capitol Police officer with a service weapon after protesters breached the fencing.
She loved her country, and she was doing what she thought was right to support her country and joining up with people, like-minded people that also love their president and their country. And, she was voicing her opinion, and she got killed for it.
Babbitt was transported to a local hospital where she later died. The officer was placed on administrative leave in accordance with police policy. Police also say 3 others died during medical emergencies.
Sometimes life can be a little overwhelming. Sometimes the weight of the world can be too much to bear. Sometimes you need to stop worrying and take a deep breath. Sometimes you need cannabis. Introducing Brightside, high-quality cannabis delivered right to your door. Brightside offers an extensive menu of strains and products to meet your needs. Choose the experience you want, and we'll send you the dankest herb, the real sticky icky, some top-shelf marijuana. If you like what we send you, keep the whole jar. We'll even include some nugs for you to blaze. As part of Discovery, you'll get to try new strains and products. Side effects may include euphoria, increased appetite, uncontrollable giggles, elevated sensitivity to musical dopeness, and reduced anxiety. Tetrahydrocannabinol may also induce feelings of existential well-being and relentless optimism. With a Brightside subscription, you can get it once a month, once a week, or whenever you want, all at a price you'll like. And yes, this is a real company. Ask your doctor if cannabis is right for you. It probably is. keep it Brightside.
All right. Let's see. I'm gonna have a bong hit, and we don't have any callers right now. I have a clip of Ron Paul earlier today talking about him being censored off of Facebook. So I thought that was interesting, since we don't see Dr. Paul very often, and he was talking about how he's a non-violence person. He's anti-war. He's pro-freedom. So he was like, it doesn't make any sense that they're censoring me, except for the fact that they just think they can. They just think they can censor people, and he apparently got his site back, and everything's cool, but it's such bullshit. It's got to stop. Again, we have to recognize the enemy. The enemy is the people who don't want us to have the information. The enemy is the people who are saying, oh, well, you can't figure out for yourself that this is fake news, so we're just going to censor it so that you don't know. We're going to say, oh, well, you can't know anything about Hunter Biden before the election, and then act like somehow, our speech is dangerous. Man, it is raining here like crazy. All right, so again, I have a Ron Paul video. If anybody wants to call, the numbers there up on the screen, 805-669-6397. We don't have any callers at the moment. I'm going to play this video for you, and I'm getting very hungry. So this is going to be pretty much your last chance to call. So if you want to do it, now's the time. But let's listen to what Dr. Paul has to say for a minute, and I will be right back.
After responding rather critically to Twitter shutting out the President of the United States, Ron Paul found himself suddenly locked out of his own Facebook page. They have tried to patch up the differences right now. We're going to get into Facebook's explanation for what happened. But in the meantime, the former congressman, presidential candidate, joins us right now. Ron Paul. Congressman, good to have you. What happened here exactly?
I don't know. Yesterday we did our usual program. It's a form of reaching out to the people to promote the liberty philosophy, which I've been doing every week since 1956 and never missed it. But yesterday the report went out and all of a sudden said, you've overstepped the bound. You have violated community standards. I'm baffled by that. I didn't know we had community standards that we had to follow. And they said, no, you've been locked out of your Facebook. And I thought, well, why would they do that? I follow a policy and a philosophy of nonviolence and peace. And, you're dangerous. You may be supporting terrorism. But the explanation was I wasn't following the community standards, and we have warned you several times, which was not true, and therefore we are temporarily, I don't know what the word was, but it turned out it was temporary, but that I'd be locked out of my program until they let me know something else.
I don't know what it was you were saying. They said later on, Congressman, well, there were never any restrictions on Ron Paul's page. We restricted one administration's ability to post by mistake. We've corrected that error. But I don't understand what the error was.
I don't either. They never told me what it was. And I would, if they're looking for errors, you know, as a non-interventionist in all forms of activity in the government, let me tell you, I know a lot of people that I think are involved in things that they shouldn't be doing. So this whole thing is a little bit bizarre. And I really wonder about it, because when you think of it, you know, I'm not, why could I be a threat? Neil, you've known me for a long time, and I don't threaten people. And I have a philosophy of nonviolence, non-intervention, nonviolence. And all of a sudden that, you know, I am a threat, and they start using words when they talk about locking down these programs, that is a form of terrorism and all these other things.
The irony is,
Congress,
to your point, the irony is you've been critical of the president, even though your son, Rand Paul, who ran against him, had his moments. He rallied to support the president, didn't support this opposition to the electoral vote effort. But your case has been a little different, because you've been quite critical of the president. Do you think it was your criticism in a separate issue about Twitter silencing the president or taking him off that somehow ignited, I don't even understand, these algorithms or whatever might trigger a response like the one you got?
No, I really don't think so. I think that there's a lot of confusion on what they're doing. I think, you know, these people that run these social media network, I figure they're very smart and very rich and know what's going on, but they don't have the vaguest idea what I'm talking about. And yet they seems to be that even though I have no clout, you know, I'm not even running for office or anything, but it's almost like we better be careful with him, because even if they can, you know, take you off and put you back on, and even before even that happened, we have been intimidated. I mean, we're cautious. We don't act as if we have freedom of speech and First Amendment protection, because we knew that. And right now, for a very pragmatic reason, we get our message of liberty out this way. And for some reason, they saw that as a threat. But I've been taught, and I've come to understand that sometimes if you tell the truth, it is a threat to people. They just don't want to hear it, because I can't be.
Has this ever happened in the past to you, Congressman? Has this ever occurred to you before?
No, no, it's never been. I mean, I always thought it was a possibility, even though I didn't understand social networks and that thing. I understood my message, and but as we went on, and I had staff tell me that, you know, someday you're not going to be able to broadcast, and I said, well, I sure hope there's some alternative. And I said libertarians are pretty smart and they're into technology. Maybe they will devise a system that will be competitive, but it doesn't look like they'll even permit even a hint of competitiveness to the ordinary social media.
Congressman, the president says he is not to blame for anything that happened last week. He didn't light any candle, that this was something that just developed. Do you think that he bears some responsibility for this?
Oh, yeah. I think a lot of people bear some responsibility, but I think it's blown way out of proportion.
Does the president, Congressman?
Well, you know, I just think sometimes policies lead to this. You say, who's responsible for it? You know, our former president and our current president have endorsed the principle that on occasion we can use assassination of American citizens. And when I think of that and going to war without declaration, we're not dealing with the real issue that's going on. It's the issue of big government, and it's authoritarian, and it's controlled by outsiders and people who think they have some control and think elections are really significant. No, it's people who are pulling the strings behind it. But that is so conspiratorial. If I was on my internet, I might have my program struck that there could be people conniving to run things out of the ordinary. So I just don't think that the president thought that I had anything to do with me. I think social media has something to do with me, but it sort of is amazing, you know, why they would bother. But I just think that there's a lot of information out there, but to me, we're missing the entire thing. When you look at all the authoritarianism and terrorism and spending and problems, it's very, very bipartisan. And this whole idea that in the last 3 days it's been turned around, and they probably, let's say the president had a popularity rate of 70 or 80% or 60%, and now it's down to 2%. That's how powerful this situation is. And I think that it's way overdone, and it's a real shame. And I think we've lost our way. I don't think these people who are shouting, defend the Constitution, and let's have protect First Amendment, and all this shouting, especially the people that are on the president's back, I think there's a lot of talk there, and they're missing the boat, because the way I, as a non-interventionist, see it, that is the whole business of most everybody in Washington, and that is to be an aggressive interventionist in our personal lives, spying on us all the time, in our economic lives. They tax us to death. They inflate us to death. They transfer wealth from the poor and the middle class to the rich. They go to war without declarations. And they're not dealing with another. If you want to really deal with some problem, that's what they need to deal with. But it's almost like a distraction. Oh, let's talk about how we can do something really unique. We've never impeached the president twice. Now that's historic. So we got to go for it and racing. It's like a race to the final to save the country. If we can only impeach the president
and that race
twice.
Is on.
Yeah,
and that race is on.
He has problem, there's no doubt. And you stated I come out in opposition to the president, and I do at times, but it's 50-50. Half the time when he wants to bring troops home, I'm shouting, bring them home, bring them home. When he wants to send them someplace,
no, you're a very fair and balanced critic. Although I'll tell you, Congress, I'm going to watch you a lot more closely, knowing that you're potentially a big threat. So I'm keeping my eye on you, Ron Paul.
Oh yeah,
thank you very much.
Sure thing.
What an incredible saga here. All right, 85 years young, Ron Paul caught up in the middle of what seemed to be a nonsensical storm that had nothing at all to do with him. And
all right, so I don't want to cut off Ron Paul, because he has very interesting stuff to say, and it's fascinating that he's getting censored off the Facebook. Somebody that we all know. I think, but we've seen this happen. This happened. 4 years ago to Alex Jones? I started screaming about the censorship then. This is what they want, is this power to censor anyone and everyone for freedom of speech. It's unfortunate that they consider freedom such a threat. But like I said again and again, the only way this species evolves to its full potential is with freedom. It's the taking away, the locking down, the holding down of our freedom that's getting in the way of this species being all that it can be, solving all the problems. Because the problems aren't that complicated. Hello, caller.
Hello, Mike. This is Beam Me Up Mr. Scott from YouTube. I've called you before. You told me to hug my mom. I hugged her. She says thank you.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. What's up, Mr.
Yeah,
Scott?
this is going to be a little bit of a weird call, but I have a time machine, sir, and I'm driving it right now, and you're kind of on it right now.
Uh-huh.
We are sharing a time space right now.
Awesome.
And yeah, and I can drive it I can kind of drive it forward fast, or I can drive it slower. I can't really go back in time. I can disassociate you from this time and then bring you forward in time.
Cool.
Yeah, that's my time machine services, sir. I know you don't want to go anywhere.
I'm good
but
right now.
this is just kind of a fun call. Like, if you could go somewhere, where would you want to go? And, like, it's just a thought exercise. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, well, have you ever seen that Star Trek episode called The Library, where they have like all these things on file? It's like little disc, and you look at the little disc, you put them in a machine, and you look at the little disc, and the little disc shows you these exotic places, and then you put the disc into like a doorway frame, and
that was like one of the first videos of Star Trek, right?
Yeah.
That's one of the very first ones.
yeah.
Yeah, I do. I am familiar with Star Trek.
I think if to make a decision like that, I'd really like to look at all the different options and see what kind of options there are.
Oh, you want to check it out?
Yeah.
See, that's the whole fun. You can't do that.
But you can have it's like you're asking me out of the blue, you know, where, see, I'm very content where I'm at, so I don't think about that sort of thing.
I know exactly what you're saying. I'm content where I'm at, and that's why I'm here, and, like, this is just a fun game that we're playing, you know what I mean?
I mean, you know, I think, I don't know, I think, you know, somewhere before the drug war would be an interesting time to live in.
Oh,
man. I think ancient China would probably be a really interesting place to visit. China looks like a really amazing, beautiful place, and there's all this history to it. I think you could just get lost in something like that. But yeah, to go somewhere.
Oh, wow.
To go somewhere.
Yeah, they have the ancient pyramids there in China that nobody knows about, right? They have the pyramids in Egypt. Everybody knows about those, but there's I think 6 or 7 pretty big pyramids in China that are pretty much kept under wraps. Nobody knows about them. I don't know about them. I'd like to know what's in there.
Well, I think you know, it's it'd be nice to before the drug war, you know, and everybody's like doing, like, people are drinking Coca-Cola that has cocaine in it, you know. I think that would be interesting, you know.
I think a lot of the drug war is a lot of just ancient, I don't know, a low-level control over people.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if somebody's having a not good time, they're going to seek a way to relieve themselves, you know, of that not good time. So probably the way to go is drugs. Like, I'm sorry, that's just you know,
well,
the way that things are.
I think it's really simpler than that. I think that cannabis is meant to be part of our daily diet, and that, you know, it's been taken away from us for part of our daily diet.
I agree with that, actually, sir. I think cannabis seeds are very healthy.
For lots of health reasons, and also it's the easiest way not to have, you know, to fight depression and all these things. So I think that it's meant to be a daily part of our diet, and it's been taken away from us. And that if we were actually in our normal foods that we're eating, there was, you know, just a certain amount of cannabis, I think it'd make a huge difference in the entire planet.
Well, I agree with you, sir. Like, as a human being, I live in Denver and stuff. I have a pretty extensive history with marijuana. In 2007, I think I was charged with cultivation. I faced 31 years in jail. This is because I had a gun in my closet.
Dang.
But yeah, so that's pretty scary.
Very scary.
I had to pay so much money to a lawyer, and like it was so frustrating because it was right during, like, everybody else was getting, it was legalized for everybody in the entire world, and me, like, I went to jail for, like, not too long, and it sucked.
Yeah.
But yeah, bro, it sucks. And so I got out, and I ended up doing 2 years of probation. And that sucked also because that was right during it was getting legalized for everybody. It was so it was so crappy for a time machine driver. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you know, you got through it. You know, we're here now. You know, I mean, it's not like it. Whatever doesn't kill me makes me stronger. You know.
Oh no, I've been thinking about getting back into it. I kind of have a name some places from doing this. I have some pictures published in High Times, actually, 2007.
Right on. That's cool. That's super cool.
It might be 2005, actually. I don't know. I'd have to look for it. It was a while ago, as you can tell. But yeah, I do believe cannabis doesn't hurt anybody.
It's meant to be part of our lives. It's beyond it doesn't hurt anybody. It's this natural resource that's completely renewable that we can be fueling all of our cars on if we would just think about it, you know?
Yeah, I think if it gets used to hurt anybody, that is a bad thing, and I think that's going to be held like in karma up above, you know? There was some the blonde attorney who wanted me put in jail for 30 years, I'm like, oh my God. You know what I mean? Does she know what she does? It's like, is she that evil?
Yeah. How do you after you do something like that to someone, how do you go and eat food? You know, it's like,
how do I forgive her? Yeah. Like, how do I go on with life and not just hate with all my entire being?
Look at this. This is really simple, basic. That you can't carry that with you. You have to. The only time that exists is right now. The only time. Listen to what I'm saying. The only time you can actually experience is right now. Okay, and right now things aren't that bad.
True, sir.
Everything else is a memory or a fantasy, and both of those are just basic chemical reactions in your brain. The only thing you can actually genuinely experience is this moment. So if you come into this moment and realize that stupid bitch is not in your life, you know, that's a good thing.
Okay, hold on. I want to tell you one thing about time travel, okay? In order to determine your exact point in time, you must have 2 points in time, 2 perspectives. Do you understand this? I have to have this point in time that I'm living right now, and I have to have another point in time that I'm referencing. Do you understand?
Uh-huh.
In order for a continuum to exist, these 2 points of time must be referenced. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Okay. There you go. That's my fun time machine ride for tonight. Thank you for letting me call you. I love you, Mike. Like, my mom loves you too. Like, you are a blessing on this planet. I've been your follower since forever, since like YouTube started and I saw Mox News. You are like a blessing upon this world. Like, thank you very much, sir.
Right on. Well, it's good.
I love you for real.
It's good to hear from you. And we look forward to talking to you again soon.
You can ride my time machine anytime you want.
Right on.
Anytime.
Right on. Okay, well, we look forward to talking to you again soon, Mr. Spock. Or Mr. Scott, excuse me.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you very much.
See ya.
Peace.
Stay cool. Okay. And I don't know if you guys remember that episode from the Star Trek where they went to the library and they all got separated because they went to different spots and somebody got pushed through the doorway. But if you were going to travel through time, it'd be nice to have something like that. Like, oh, here's the 1930s and here's, 5,000 years BC China and, all these things. So you could understand what your options are before you actually jump into the situation where, I don't know, not so good. Anyways, thanks again for tuning in. My name's Mike. We do this every Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific time, which means we will be back tomorrow. Same Mox time, same Mox channel. Thanks to all the callers. And if you want to give something back, it's easy to do. There's clickable links in the text body of the video. or you can go to moxnews.com, or there's clickable links in the chat. And so until then, stay cool, because one of these days this war is going to end. And don't forget, this country was founded on acts of sedition. Okay, be proud. Acts of sedition are something that I do regularly, and I'm extremely proud of them. So, you know, if somebody starts throwing around the word sedition and acting like it's a bad thing, you just tell them this country was founded on acts of sedition, and if it were not for those acts of sedition, there is no way this country would exist. That's the facts, Jack. Stay cool till then.
No matter which mouth you feed on a two-headed snake, it still shits the same turd. But lucky for you, you have Mox News. More than 10 years. More than 60,000 videos. Mox News has been filtering the nonsense and illuminating the bullshit from your mainstream media. Turn off your TV and turn on to Mox News. For over a decade, documenting the socio-political events that have etched and carved the pathways that define today's modern mess, Mox News has been providing clarity while faithfully bringing you today's relevant stories 100% commercial-free and subscription-free. And just like Lady Liberty vows to remain free. But at this time, we're asking you for your help, your patronage, and your support to keep the lights on and the videos rolling. For less than 17 cents per day, you can become a basic subscriber, knowing that your donation is truly making a difference that will help continue bringing the news stories that make a difference in your life. Turn on, tune in, and drop a couple dimes today by clicking the link below or visiting moxnews.com and show your support at any level. From a single one-time donation or dedicated monthly subscriber, do it now in less than 2 minutes. All donations are safe, securely processed, and verified using PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or Discover Card. As always, we're sure you'll find something of interest each and every day. This holiday season, give the gift of Mox. moxnews.com.